ocean. But enter a Honduran assassin. John Ramirez, a veteran fresh off the heels of 2 hellacious first-round finishes. Ramirez is happy to tread into the deepest of waters with the champ. Will Choinsky continue his unmitigated assault on the lightweight division, or will Ramirez be the first to wrestle the belt away from the jaws of the champ? These questions will be answered, champions will be crowned, and it all goes down now, live, exclusively on UFC Fight Pass. From Milwaukee's beautiful Potawatomi Casino, the APFC returns home and goes all in as we bring you a championship triple header, and all this pressure has forged the diamond into our midst as the legend Dustin the Diamond Poirier is in the house for APFC.
Chip on his shoulder and looks to reclaim his championship.
Absolutely. Well, maybe it's the youthful exuberance of us.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Potawatomi Casino Event Center here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for APFC 16. And we are ready to kick things off. Are you ready? Milwaukee fight fans, are you ready? Let's bring out the fighters. Our first bout is 3 rounds going down in the APFC featherweight division. And now, making the walk to the cage first, from Ypsilanti, Michigan, Mason Lackey.
As we begin APFC 16 with the Ammies at 145 pounds, here comes Mason Lackey. Michigan MMA fighter, just 24 years of age, standing 5 feet 8 inches tall. 0-2 his last fight in June, David. He picked up a unanimous decision loss. He's looking to right the wrongs as the BJJ purple belt as he steps into the APFC cage tonight.
I'll tell you what, this kid is not afraid of a challenge here, making the trip all the way from Michigan to Milwaukee to take on the hometown guy here.
Not at all intimidated and more than happy to step into enemy territory is Mason Lackey. His last fight, he picked up a loss. Before that, he was slightly outstruck and out-wrestled, but he says that the team at Michigan MMA has been really honing him in and making sure that he improves and gets to that next level. A longtime fan of Georges St. Pierre, Lackey is looking to be the next well-rounded fighter to make a big splash, and he's looking to do so here tonight at APFC 16.
You know, both of these guys looking to get a win here tonight. I mean, Lackey seems very focused. He seems very collected as he steps into the APFC cage. And like I said earlier, I mean, he seems like, from even talking to him yesterday, that he's ready to go out there and put that 1 on his record in the right place.
Walk to the APFC cage from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Tejan, the Predator Mason.
Hey, you want to say something?
In steps Tejan, the Predator Mason, our first representative of Rufus Sport to step into the cage tonight. There you see him accompanied by BJJ coach Chris Wright, along with the legend Scott Cushman. Tejan Mason, I mean, you carry the name of Rufus Sport on your back, even as a young fighter, David. That's got to have the double-sided sword effect. I mean, granted, you bring a lot of confidence, but there could be some pressure.
I mean, I definitely know just from experience working at Rufus Sport, working with Scott Cushman, working with Chris Wright, they definitely prepare their talent to go out there and deal with any challenges. I definitely think when you go through the ringer, you get put through those training sessions, when you step into the cage, you've already been through hell and you just want to get out there and perform, and I'm pretty sure Mason wants to do just that.
To your point, David, I suppose when the groundwork is laid at a legendary place like Rufus Sport, you kind of know that no matter who stands across from you in the cage, there is not a lot that you haven't seen, at the very least, inside the training room.
I mean, also, when you're in the training room and you're rubbing shoulders with guys like Sergio Pettis, Anthony Pettis, you know, they have a long line of history of champions that come from that gym, and you get the rub, so to speak. And I think that gives you that confidence boost going into any fight.
Absolutely. With that being said, it is time for some Mason on Mason crime. Let's kick it over. Handsome Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from the Potawatomi Casino Event Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, this is APFC 16, presented by Anthony Showtime Pettis. Tonight's event is sanctioned by the Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services. Commissioner Mary Murphy Edwards. Our judges are Skylar Slay, Andrew Thorpe, and Tom Gavrilos. And now this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC Featherweight Division, sponsored by Medalla. And now introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a freestyle fighter. He stands 5 feet 7 inches tall and officially weighed in at 145.4 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of no wins with 2 losses, from Ypsilanti, Michigan, Mason Lackey. And across the cage, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall and officially weighed in at 145 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of no wins with 1 loss, and fighting out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Tejon, the Predator Mason. And your referee in charge is Tom DeVellis.
Tom DeVellis, our third man inside the cage tonight, as these 145 warriors lock horns to get the night started here at APFC 16. Your first bout of 2025 inside the Anthony Pettis Fighting Championship cage, and we are underway. Very relaxed is Tejon Mason early on.
You know, Tejon Mason coming in 6'1" with a 73-inch reach.
Oh my goodness! Tejon Mason puts away Mason Lackey with an enormous head kick. Unbelievable way to get yourself into the win column. Ladies and gentlemen, Tejon Mason with an early contender for knockout of the night.
Just like that. You know, I was speaking to the reach, you know, that 73 inches with the hands. Maybe we should start measuring the feet as well here, Christian.
Yeah, I think next time we come out with the reach and the inseam. My goodness, Tejon Mason with that right roundhouse to the head. I mean, if you blinked, you missed it, ladies and gentlemen. Mason Lackey still coming to his senses after a devastating head kick knockout.
You know, I would love to sit here and talk through all the technicalities of what just happened. However, Tejon Mason doing all the talking that needs to be done here, and we're getting APFC started with a bang.
To say the least. Now, I'll tell you this, when I was doing my homework, I saw Tejon Mason actually has his next fight already scheduled. When you make short work like this, I guess you could do those sort of things.
I am just in shock. I mean, we're looking to come in, settle into a great fight. Tejon Mason had other ideas, Christian, and he's ready to go home. He can probably fight again here tonight if he wanted to.
Friend, I tell you to take over the replay, but there is really not much to take over. As my goodness, Tejon Mason making extremely short work of Mason Lackey, letting all the featherweights know that they should most certainly be on notice for the name, Tejon the Predator Mason. To make this one official, the veteran voice of our cage, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our referee Tom DeVellis put an end to the fight. The official time, 16 seconds of round number 1 for your winner by knockout, Tejon the Predator Mason.
Unbelievable. To your point, he most certainly could probably get wrapped up and step back inside the cage tonight. Luckily, these young men are not getting paid by the hour. Short work, quick work for Tajon Mason. Well, it's going to take a second, I think, for everyone in here to kind of gather their senses, David.
I mean, if we ever needed to hype up an APFC card before, I mean, Tajon Mason just did it for us. I mean, he gets his first win and a good notch on the highlight reel, Christian. I mean, it don't get much better than that.
The first thing that stood out to me was how relaxed he looked out there, almost as if he knew something that nobody else did. Maybe, David, just maybe he did.
I think it is a testament to the psychology that they teach there at Rufus Sport. We spoke earlier, you know, to that team, to that club, but the mentality that they teach, not just technique, but the cerebralness and the approach and the calmness, letting things come to you, and that's what Mason did tonight.
Well, the proof was in the pudding for Tajon Mason to keep the ball rolling at 145 pounds. Handsome, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our next bout of the evening. 3 rounds going down in the APFC featherweight division. And now, making the walk to the APFC cage first, from Carpentersville, Illinois, Misfit, Miguel Gutierrez.
Representing Mango Combat Sports out of Carpentersville, Illinois, the Misfit, Miguel Gutierrez. 2-3, but looking to get his career headed in the right direction. We last saw him at the Waukesha Rumble, where he put on an instant classic against Timmy Trong, a real stand-up affair that was back and forth. But right now is the time that Gutierrez sees as his moment to pull away from the pack. His tight boxing and his fantastic takedowns are just the beginning of the skill set for this young fighter.
You know, we talked to Gutierrez yesterday, and he spoke to his background in wrestling, but he also spoke to how comfortable he has gotten as an MMA fighter and his boxing and how they both accent one another. Look for him to go out there, feint, look for his shots and set up the hands and vice versa. He seemed very confident. I'm looking forward to see what he displays here tonight.
You made a point to reference our interview with him yesterday. He's a young man he doesn't have a lot of words. He likes to kind of let his fighting do the talking. And we're going to see exactly what that means tonight. The little brother of MMA fighter Mando Gutierrez, a tough veteran who most recently picked up a big win in Deep Tokyo Impact just in November. It means a lot, David, for Miguel to be able to sit back and watch his big brother do all these big things and realize that there is a groundwork laid for him.
It's nice to have that foundation laid for you. And whenever you have systems like that or families like that in any sports, the youngest one is always the best.
If nothing else, he's more times than not the toughest because he had to deal with big brother pulling him around the household. We'll see if that's the case tonight as the Misfit, Miguel Gutierrez, steps into the APFC cage once again.
Now, making the walk to the APFC cage, from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Cameron Kryptonite Gauger.
Enter Cameron Kryptonite Gauger. 2-1 in his mixed martial arts campaign thus far. He most recently picked up a win back in September at NAFC SummerSlam. Before that, it was another win. He's on a 2-fight win streak, looking to make it 3 straight. That would most certainly be a big step for this amateur featherweight.
You know, we spoke with him yesterday, and he basically said he was so confident in his skills, he didn't think that there was any place that his opponent can outshine him. I love the confidence. He's clearly on a roll, looking to notch his 3rd victory in a row. I mean, if he carries that momentum, if he carries that confidence into the cage, it should be a good night for him.
Gauger, an unorthodox striker. He's more than happy to switch stances and come at you from different angles, keeping that good forward pressure at all times, and more than anything, ruthlessly aggressive. We'll see if the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt indeed has all the answers for Misfit Gutierrez. Cameron Gauger stepping inside the cage. Kryptonite as he calls himself. We will find out if he is indeed the Kryptonite for the misfit, Miguel Gutierrez. Cameron Gallagher, of course, as I mentioned, 2-1 on that 2-fight win streak. Oftentimes, if a fighter kind of has that hiccup early on, he feels that pain of defeat, David. He knows he doesn't want to see it again. He continues to move on forward with that in the back of his mind. Maybe the case with Gallagher. As we take a look at the tail of the tape being brought to you by Combat Corner. 2-1 for Cameron Gallagher, 2-3 for Gutierrez as he looks to even out his record. 4 years the elder is Gallagher, 2 inches taller as well, as both of these fighters made the mark for the featherweight division. To make this one official and get the ball rolling, handsome Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC featherweight division, sponsored by Car Bliss. And now introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a freestyle fighter. He stands 5 feet 7 inches tall and officially weighed in 146.2 pounds. Coming in tonight with 2 victories and 2 losses, and fighting out of Carpentersville, Illinois, misfit Miguel Gutierrez. And across the cage, his opponent, a mixed martial artist. He stands 5 feet 9 inches tall and officially weighed in 145.4 pounds. Coming in tonight with 2 victories and 1 defeat, and fighting out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Cameron Kryptonite Gallagher.
Cameron Kryptonite Gallagher taking on the misfit Miguel Gutierrez. Now Cameron Gallagher, of course, fighting out of Primal MKE, not just fighting out of there, David, but also coaching the teens. So he understands what that means for him to go out there as a role model and lead from the front.
Definitely when you're in that coaching, Gutierrez coming right down the center there with a 1-2.
But catching him as well was Gallagher with a clean right hand and a tight left hook.
These guys wasting no time, just getting right after it. We see Gutierrez going right down the middle, 1-2. Gallagher!
Pouring it on early is Cameron Gallagher. It was a head kick followed by some relentless punching, but coming to his senses very quickly was the misfit.
Gutierrez able to recover, get in on that double leg and get Gallagher against the cage here. Both of these guys wrestling back and forth in this 50-50 over and under position, which I would think Gutierrez would be a little more comfortable with his wrestling background. However, Gallagher showing what he has up top.
A beautiful mat return there by Gallagher against the fence. Now looking to establish back control. There's 1 hook. Potentially a second. There are 2 hooks.
Gallagher able to get the legs in on the back and just ride Gutierrez here. This position is going to weigh heavy on Gutierrez as the round continues.
With that being said, Gutierrez there right in front of his corner with Coach Doug Mango able to chirp some instructions through the fence. And back to his feet goes Gutierrez.
Gallagher doing a great job of striking on the exit there. Takes a few steps back to the center.
Hard to believe we are roughly 90 seconds into this bout as it's been non-stop action from the opening bell.
Right now, I think Gallagher seems to have the power advantage when it comes to the striking. We've seen Gutierrez land a few strikes as well. However, when Gallagher lands that 1-2 or that 3-2, we see Gutierrez either taking a step back or changing levels and defaulting to his wrestling there.
A takedown from the double unders there for misfit Gutierrez. Now it's Gutierrez taking the back of Gallagher.
Gutierrez telling Gallagher, hey, I'm going to show you how it's done. Gets that nice takedown right into the back take, and then solidifies the figure 4 position here.
The body lock is in, and the arm is across the jawline as Gutierrez locks in and looks for the squeeze.
Looks like it's under the chin, and Gutierrez is going to be able to get the submission here with 30 seconds left.
Non-stop action from beginning bell. Gutierrez is able to get it done in 1. As the misfit Gutierrez evens out his record at 3-3, withstanding some serious adversity in that first round, coming back to pick up a huge win, David.
He definitely earned that finish. You know, he got rocked We saw him almost get knocked down. We saw him get caught with a couple combinations and change levels and get to his wrestling. I think once he felt the wrestling and the grappling of Gallagher, he got a little more comfortable and he was like, hey, let me go back to my foundation. Let me go back to my base. And he took the path of least resistance, and that's gave him the win here tonight.
Like a lot of these wild men, sometimes it takes getting cracked just right to wake you up and remind you you're in a fight. Gallagher did just that. As you see the blood of Gutierrez coming out that nose. Gallagher came out the gates hot as Gutierrez did, but it was who lasted longer. Let's take a look at a replay here, David.
So here we have Gutierrez after that takedown, securing the leg in up top, but not only getting the boot in, locked in that figure 4 body lock, which pretty much kept him glued to the back of Gallagher. And once he did that, he was able to work the neck area, sliding that left arm under the chin and got the rear naked choke. That's a beautiful technique, and that's a beautiful win there for Gutierrez.
Fantastic outing and fantastic grappling. Let's kick it over to the voice of our cage, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our referee, Chris Claveter, ended the fight. The official time coming at 2 minutes and 24 seconds of round number 1, declaring your winner by submission via rear naked choke, Misfit Miguel Gutierrez.
Miguel Gutierrez evens out that record at 3-3. And lets us know that sometimes those amateur records with those blemishes on them aren't necessarily indicative of the type of fighter holding that aforementioned record, as Gutierrez came in here 2-3, but looking like a seasoned pro, withstanding some real adversity, getting the job done with a very well-rounded skill set.
It's all great experience. Once you go pro, you're 0-0, so you might as well take the hardest matchups, the toughest matchups you can as an amateur. So when you take that next level and you're getting paid to do this, you're more than ready.
You gotta love it, and it's almost time to kick it over to the flyweights as we've got our next bout ready to go, chomping at the bit. Here we are. Let's kick it over, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our next bout of the evening. 3 rounds going down in the APFC flyweight division. And now, making the walk to the APFC cage first, he is fighting out of Chicago, Illinois, Ramy Sharabi.
Enter the stoic striker that is Ramy Sharabi, one of our more experienced amateurs on the card, 4-5, but currently on a win streak, looking for his first 3-fight win streak in his amateur career. David, he is truly a striker that kind of had a hiccup transitioning into that mixed martial arts game and ironing out his game until it fit. And with that being said, picking up a win over Jalen Gibson in his last outing at APFC 13 and a win over Christian Herrera back in February, it's fair to say that Ramy Sharabi is figuring things out.
Yeah, MMA is definitely a sport of multiple dimensions, and when you come into a sport, and when you come into this sport from one singular sport, there is a learning curve, there is a time of adjustment. You see some people make the adjustment better than others. However, some people, it takes a little bit of time, but some people pick up to it right away. I think this guy is someone that over time has progressively gotten better. He's progressively, picked up different skills in the striking and the grappling, and he's looking to make everything seamless now as he goes out there tonight and tries to get this win.
Having come into mixed martial arts as a very polished striker underneath the tutelage of Chicago striking legend Fernando El Gato Luevano, Sharabi is now on the heels of 2 submission wins. So clearly, to your point, David, adding skills, adding tools to that toolbox. And when you couple it with world-class striking and suddenly you got some really good grappling, sky can truly be the limit.
Sky's the limit for sure. And hey, what better place than to go out there and display all of the skills that you built over the years than right here in the APFC cage. We're here at the Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. We're off to a great start. Let's see if Sharabi can keep the momentum going.
Ramy Sharabi ready to write his own chapter of APFC history. But first, his incumbent, Michael Hansen.
And now, making the walk to the APFC cage from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Alberto Fernandez.
Currently ranked as Wisconsin's #4 amateur bantamweight according to Tapology. Here is Alberto Fernandez, 3-0 representing Rufus Sport. In his last outing, he picked up a rear naked choke finish over Rich Napier. Before that, it was a win via strikes over Kanian Cantrin. And before that, a KO over Joel Aguilar. It's fair to say that we have a finisher on our hands, Alberto Fernandez here. And David, Sharabi, Fernandez, this feels like fireworks.
I mean, we definitely have a finisher. We already spoke to the Rufus Sport talent to this card. They kicked us off quite literally here tonight with an explosive knockout. I mean, if these guys train together, I mean, Christian, don't blink.
I'll be keeping my eyelids wide open. As a matter of fact, Alberto Fernandez in his debut fight, well, he won that via KO in 9 seconds. So maybe that's a little something, a little theme that we're seeing from these Rufus Sport fighters. They come out here to get the job done and get it done quick.
You know, it's funny, I spent some time at Rufus Sport and with Duke Rufus, Scott Cushman, the whole team there. One thing Duke Rufus always preached: when you turn professional in this sport, it's about getting 2 checks. When you turn professional, you get paid to show up, you get paid to win. But these guys are out here fighting like they're getting bonuses tonight.
Well, we will see exactly what is in store as we take a look at the tail of the tape here as Ramy Sharabi steps in 4-5, taking on the undefeated Alberto Fernandez. Both fighters are 27 years old, with Sharabi being 3 inches taller. Both fighters making the flyweight mark. This tail of the tape was being brought to you by Combat Corner. To make things official and to get this fight rocking and rolling, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC Flyweight Division, sponsored by Combat Corner. And now introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 5 feet 7 inches tall and officially weighed in 125.8 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 4 victories with 5 losses, and fighting out of Chicago, Illinois, Ramy Sharabi. And across the cage, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a freestyle fighter. He stands 5 feet 4 inches tall and officially weighed in 126 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 3 wins with no losses, and fighting out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Alberto Fernandez. And your referee is Chris Claviter.
Chris Claviter, our third man inside the cage, making sure things remain copacetic as these flyweights get ready to lock horns. It's Sharabi versus Fernandez at APFC 16. Immediately taken in the center of the cage was Alberto Fernandez, and taking the first shot was Ramy Sharabi.
Fernandez charging in like a bull, coming in behind that right hand, staying low, loading it up, and just pressuring Sharabi's back against the cage.
Now it's Sharabi well, for a moment it was Sharabi that had turned the tide with that forward pressure as they both jockey for position against the fence. Both of them in that 50-50 over-under position. Oftentimes, it's the shorter striker the shorter fighter that's able to use that shoulder pressure there. That's the case here, maybe, as Fernandez momentarily secured the takedown.
What Fernandez did was solidified the head position. You saw when they were in that over-under, he's looking to put his forehead in the chin of Sharabi, which keeps Sharabi postured up. That way he can't gain dominance. He looked for that underarm spin, man. I was excited to see how that was going to end up. But both of these guys back to their feet here.
Early on as it may be, it does feel like Ramy is maybe trying to download Alberto Fernandez early on. I mentioned what a polished striker it is. It's no surprise that he'd want to kind of download the situation before engaging himself.
Sharabi looking fluid in his movement on his feet. However, what I think he's taking 1 too many steps back. with a guy like Fernandez, that's where he wants to be, because he wants to get your back against that cage and he wants to take you down and lay some punishment on you. And now he's in a great place to do so with that double leg, now here landing in the guard of Sharabi.
For whatever it's worth, whenever I see that USA wrestling tattoo that we see on the calf of Fernandez, I tend to not to want to engage in any sort of grappling personally. But very much you see the wrestling acumen early on as Alberto Fernandez now takes the back of Ramy Sharabi.
Textbook wrestling, textbook transitions by Fernandez. Got the takedown, transition to the back. Now Sharabi was able to get back to his feet. However, Fernandez looking confident as he lowers his guard and he moves forward, because he knows that if all else fails, he can get to the leg of Sharabi, who's not known to be a grappler.
With that being said, Sharabi making you eat your words there, my friend, as he secures a takedown. And it's now Sharabi delivering punishment from the top. It'll be interesting, David, to see if Fernandez makes it out, if they make it out of this first round. Alberto Fernandez is yet to see a second stanza, so it will be interesting to see how exactly that unfolds should we make it out of this first round.
He has to be careful, though. Fernandez looking to set up that arm bar as he switches his hips out. Even if he doesn't get it, he's going to be able to transition and possibly get out here. However, Sharabi is hanging tough in there, landing some strikes. This has been a back-and-forth round so far, Christian.
Sharabi unloading from the top as the first stanza comes to a close. And Alberto Fernandez looks to see the second round for the very first time in his embryonic mixed martial arts career. It really did feel like maybe Sharabi was downloading his opponent. One thing's for certain, he's definitely gotten those kinks out and he's ready to strike in the second round.
Right here we see Fernandez landing that beautiful double leg. You know, he didn't really have to change levels much. He was already in a nice slow stance coming in behind that big right hand. However, Sharabi was able to get the advantage here in the grappling sequence, and he did some damage of his own. You know, Fernandez was working off the bottom. Sharabi landed some strikes. These guys have been going back and forth like two cats in a phone booth, man. It's been hard to keep up with them.
It's pretty exciting when you think about, I intro this fight talking about the striking acumen of Ramy Sharabi, and then we see a quick takedown from him. I was talking about the striking of Alberto Fernandez and the wrestling. Well, then we see him working some pretty good jiu-jitsu off his back. Just speaking to the levels of well-roundedness of these fighters, of these quote-unquote amateur fighters. Let's see what the second round holds.
I think both of these guys are testaments to the talent that APFC brings here, even at the amateur level.
Coming out the gates hot was Alberto Fernandez.
Beautiful counter 2-3 there by Sharabi as Fernandez jumps in with the teeth kick. Perhaps he'd fare better keeping those hands up.
It seems as if potentially the corner of Fernandez wanted him to get in the face of Sharabi as he is pressed forward from the beginning of this round.
Sharabi seems comfortable right now, just fading back and countering as Fernandez comes in with his head down. He's seeing a lot more success in this round than he did with that strategy in the first round.
Well, now it's Sharabi working with the, I was going to say working for the takedown, but now looking for a head and arm throw there is Fernandez.
Fernandez going with the schoolyard head norm. We used to hate that back in the wrestling tournaments back in the day. You had guys who would just get off on doing that. However, as they got older, you know, you're not as successful with it as we're seeing right now with Fernandez. But Sharabi did a great job adjusting. Now he has Fernandez's back against the cage.
It's the taller fighter in Sharabi now looking to potentially secure a takedown, but locking in an arm-in guillotine and sitting back is Alberto Fernandez.
Fernandez jumping guillotine, using his left foot there to push off of the cage. It looked like it could have been tight there. However, in this second stanza of the fight, they're a little bit sweaty, you know, which makes moves like that a little more riskier.
But what that indeed tells me about Fernandez is he's more than happy to trust his jiu-jitsu, as the wrestler has now gone to his back twice in this fight. Here we see him working his way back up to his feet and hitting a beautiful switch there. This is Fernandez.
That was a nice peek out there by Fernandez. He seems comfortable fighting from anywhere. He's comfortable on the feet. He's comfortable winning on top in the grappling position. He's comfortable on his back. And Sharabi is also doing a great job of adjusting at every point here. It seems for everything that Fernandez does, Sharabi has an answer or two.
That's that experience we were talking about. Now the record may be 4-5, but all I see is a guy who's got his 10th fight underway right now as Ramy Sharabi weathered an early storm and now threatening a rear naked choke.
Looks like that left arm is under the chin. However, it's not quite on the throat of the carotid there of Fernandez. So he's able to kind of post on that elbow and just take deep breaths. What he needs to do is get his back to the canvas right now. He's trying to get up. That's that stubbornness of a wrestler. We get on our back and we want to get up, and we give up our back sometimes, which isn't the best position to be. Right now, he needs to get to his back and get Sharabi off of his neck.
Well, if you take a look at Sharabi's left leg, he was using it laced inside the leg of Fernandez to disrupt the base. Again, just speaking to the experience as Sharabi unloads from mount. Absolutely putting an exclamation point on the second round there was Ramy Sharabi.
Man, that was a back and forth round. I have to give that one to Sharabi. I think as we're going into this third round, if I'm judging, I think it's 1-1. We've seen a little bit of everything from all of these guys. Right here we have the replay. We saw Fernandez throw that head norm. We saw him jumping guillotines right there in the face of the former Bellator champion Sergio Pettis. Then we had Sharabi threaten Fernandez. Looked like it could have been over there for a second there, Christian, if you ask me. However, Fernandez was able to get his back to the canvas, but Sharabi just transitioned, landed some ground and pound, and I think that's going to give him that second round there, Christian.
Yeah, the toughness of Fernandez most certainly being on display in that second round. Now, I mentioned it once already. Fernandez has never seen a second round, so he's most certainly never seen a third. We will see if weathering that early storm and taking him into these deep waters will pay dividends for Ramy Sharabi. Or will we see Fernandez pick up a second win in the third round?
If that second round was indicative of anything, it looks like the fight is swaying a little bit towards Sharabi. However, we know Fernandez has, a ton of tools, and he has power and pop, and he can finish this fight at any moment.
Immediately pressing forward, putting Sharabi on his heels as Fernandez.
It's almost as if Fernandez heard what I was saying there. He lands that big right hand and almost sits Sharabi down. I think if the cage wasn't behind him, this would be a different story right now. Sharabi back on his back foot, however, doing a great job countering and getting himself back into this fight.
And I wonder, David, if it's fair to assume that the corner of Fernandez let him know that this is anybody's fight, and if you want it, you got to go out there and take it.
Fernandez has been fighting with a fire since the first frame of this fight. It's kind of like fire and ice here. You have the coolness here of Sharabi. He spoke to that stoic approach that he had yesterday, and he's carrying it into the fight. He's comfortable being elusive. He's comfortable with the head movement. And you got Fernandez coming in like a bull in a china shop, looking to put the lights out.
Absolutely, Ramy Sharabi, maybe a man of not too many words, but clearly a man of many, many skills, as he's showing just how well-rounded he's become. But it's Fernandez, again, maybe catching that second win, pressing forward in the third round. Big shots against the fence landing for Alberto Fernandez, and now shooting in for the double leg is Fernandez.
Fernandez doing a great job landing some shots and getting back to his wrestling, where we've seen he has success here early on. However, once again, Sharabi has an answer. Just when you think you have all the answers, Sharabi changes the questions, and he's grappling Fernandez in certain points of this fight here.
Yeah, coupled with that skill set is a bit of shiftiness for Ramy Sharabi, as he's able to kind of just constantly be on the... Whatever Fernandez throws at him, it kind of seems like, to your point, Sharabi has just got that answer. He's been there, he's done that. Again, this is his 10th fight already to Fernandez's 4th.
With that being said, 60 seconds left here in the third round. This has been a highly contested fight. Someone has to separate themselves here if they want to consider a victory here tonight.
Well, it feels like these two may be content to slug it out. And these 40 seconds may be very telling as to who our victor will be, as Ramy Sharabi and Alberto Fernandez have squared off in an incredibly evenly contested matchup here.
I'll tell you what, the saying is styles make fights, but also personalities. I think that's been the story of this fight. Both of these guys' personalities. Like I said earlier, Sharabi being calm, cool, collected, and looking for openings as he sneaks in that rear naked choke, Christian.
And it was a failed throw by Fernandez that led to giving up his back. Sharabi sinks in the rear naked choke and pulls off a buzzer beater as Ramy Sharabi picks up his third straight victory, putting away Alberto Fernandez. I'm gonna have to get the official time, but that may have been 2 minutes and 59 seconds of the third and final round as Ramy Sharabi takes home another rear naked choke victory.
You wanna talk about clutch in a fight that was anybody's fight leading up to that point. Sharabi looked for his opening, he saw it, and he capitalized with possibly not even a second left, Christian. We got to get the word on what that finish was.
You said it was going to go down to the last 60 seconds. I said the last 40. We were both completely wrong as it all went down in the last 10 seconds. Unbelievable. On the feet, this was a war, David.
Here we have Fernandez just coming in hot, almost put Sharabi down. However, Sharabi is able to stay calm in the fire and lands some counter shots of his own. And right here, shades of Jillian Robinson, my girl, how she sneaks the corner, sneaks in that rear naked choke. No one's none the wiser, man. I've only seen one person do that, and that's the female with the most submission wins, and I believe flyweight UFC history, Sharabi. Man, I am impressed by his grit. I am impressed by his ability to deal with the heat, take punishment, and just look for a win and fight through and through.
Ramy Sharabi sets this place ablaze. Let's kick it over to the voice of the APFC cage, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our referee, Chris Cleveter, put an end to the fight. The official time, 2 minutes and 55 seconds of round number 3. Declaring your winner by submission via rear naked choke, Ramy Sharabi.
Ramy Sharabi evens out his record and picks up his third straight submission victory. When we interviewed him yesterday, David, I had to ask, this is your 10th amateur fight. If all goes as planned, what's next? And he dropped the P word on us. He said he thinks he's turning pro next. It really seems like everything is aligning for Ramy Sharabi right now.
I think the great thing about this fight for Sharabi is, you know, he had his moments everywhere on the feet, grappling. He had his good moments, he had his bad moments. If you ask me, the assessment is he is ready. Now it's just, hey, are you able to make that mental adjustment? You know, he got a bit of a slow start there, which in the pros, it can be harder to climb back from slow starts. But, you know, if you ask me, I think he's ready for the pros, and it could be time for him to make that jump.
Unbelievable. This place is growing more and more electric, and that fight most certainly had a lot to do with it. Let's keep the action rolling. The veteran voice of our cage, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our next bout of the evening. 3 rounds going down in the APFC flyweight division. And now, making the walk to the APFC cage first, from Markham, Illinois, Anthony Backwoods Jackson.
In steps the 26-year-old Anthony Backwood Jackson. Another very experienced amateur making his way to the cage. He last saw action back at APFC 4, taking a loss to J.J. Johnson at the time. But coming to us out of MMA stop, and with veterans like Detrell Deco Kozla in his corner, it's fair to say that that experience is not just being gained inside the cage, but also inside the training room, David.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him compete here before. This guy is in shape. He looks very focused, and I'm looking forward to see how he transitions all that training and preparation into this fight tonight.
Before losing to J.J. Johnson back at APFC 4, he was indeed on a 3-fight win streak, picking up wins over Gerardo Castañeda, Johnny Lil Girthworth, and Pedro Gutierrez tonight. He looks to add Abimael Martinez to his list of victims. But only time will tell as Anthony Backwood Jackson, the 125-pounder out of Markham, Illinois, steps in looking to make his mark inside the APFC cage and looking to kick off 2025 with a big win, none bigger than the one he could pick up here at APFC 16. For a 125-pound fighter, if you've seen him fight in the past, he's incredibly rangy and very dynamic, great at darting in and out. Let's see if that skill set is something he employs against Martinez tonight.
Incredibly athletic. I mean, if you look at him, he's all of 125 pounds, man. I mean, this guy is stacked.
Making a walk to the APFC cage from Green Bay, Wisconsin, Abimael Martinez.
Well, in a very similar situation is the Mexican Abimael Martinez making his way to the cage. And what I mean by in a similar situation, he's also incredibly experienced, standing 4-4, coming off a loss back in September. But before that, well, this young man was on a win streak of his own, currently 4-1 in his last 5 fights, and before that loss was on indeed a 4-fight win streak, with wins coming by way of strike, submission. He's an incredibly well-rounded fighter. He started back in 2019, and as an amateur, docking 6 years of experience before making that shift. It lets you know that he is taking this incredibly seriously.
You know, and he kind of spoke to the transition in his record and his preparation, and he gave credit to his coach, Brian Batista, there, as you see him dapping up Brian. And, you know, I know him personally, used to train with him. I mean, that's someone you definitely want to follow. That's someone you're definitely going to be guided by. And I think he spoke to the confidence that his coach, his training partners, and that everyone gives him coming into that fight.
Absolutely. Abimael Martinez seemed laser focused when we chatted to him yesterday. And there's so much to be said for saying, you know, well, it's one thing to say I come from a big gym and that gives me a lot of confidence, but to say I'm coming from a gym where the coaches have taken the time to focus and zero in on me before sending me out there. The coaching staff has that full support, putting them on their shoulders and taking them to the cage. That means a lot, and we saw it in the confidence of Abimael Martinez yesterday. We'll see if that translates inside the cage.
Indeed, Christian.
Another thing that clearly stands out to me, you talked about Jackson being all of 125 pounds. We'll see when they square off, but Abimael Martinez, a stockier build, carrying the flyweight frame a touch differently. We'll see if that changes his game plan for the Rufus Sport Wanderlei BJJ fighter, as Abimael Martinez and Anthony Backwood Jackson square off. Abimael Martinez with just one more loss than Anthony Jackson in just 1 year the elder, but 3 inches taller is Anthony Backwood Jackson. Both these fighters making the flyweight mark, as this tale of the tape was brought to you by none other than Combat Corner. Let's go ahead and get this flyweight bout underway, as this is guaranteed fireworks. Michael.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC Flyweight Division, sponsored by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And now, introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 5 feet, 7 inches tall, and officially weighed in 123.8 pounds. Coming in tonight with 4 victories and 3 defeats, and fighting out of Markham, Illinois, Anthony Backwoods Jackson. And across the cage, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a freestyle fighter. He stands 5 feet 4 inches tall and officially weighed in at 125.4 pounds. Coming in tonight with 4 wins and 4 losses, and fighting out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, Abimael Martinez. And your referee in charge is Tom DeVellis.
Tom DeVellis, our third man inside the APFC cage for this flyweight affair, as Abimael Martinez takes on Anthony Backwoods Jackson. Ready to go is Anthony Jackson. as Abimael Martinez meets him in the center of the cage. We are underway, David.
Both of these guys stepping in the center, no one really taking a step back. We're seeing them making reads. Abimael Martinez leads with that back foot, looking to land the mark here on Jackson, but Jackson counters back with a beautiful 3-2 out of that southpaw stance.
Well, we saw it pretty much immediately as they met in the center of the cage. Much rangier, much taller is Backwood Jackson as he slices in with a darting left hand.
Jackson doing a great job of throwing combinations, punches and bunches. I like that he's not throwing too much of himself into any one punch, constantly being in a good posture, which allows him to follow up. He gets the takedown here, and now he's looking to land some ground and pound here on Martinez.
Very impressive was that takedown, not just getting him to the canvas from the double underhooks, but landing in that full mount is Backwoods Jackson, as he was it seemed like he was very pragmatic in the way that he took him down. He landed beautifully into that mount and immediately putting that shoulder pressure on Abimael Martinez.
Doing a great job getting Martinez to the cage, using his head over Martinez's head to keep him down, not allowing him to build height here. I think Jackson's off to a great start, just smothering Martinez here a minute and a half into the round here.
Now, if you're in the corner of Abimael Martinez, I was going to ask, how are you looking to get out from that bottom position? But it looked almost as if Jackson was happy to meet him back up on the feet.
Martinez was headed in the right direction, looking to wall walk and create a scramble. I think Jackson just figured, hey, it's better to get back to where I was having success, out here in range, just throwing combinations, leading with the jab, looking for that big right hand. He switched now to an orthodox stance, which is going to give Martinez a different look. So here's the thing, Christian, the thing about switching stances, your defense is almost never as good on your bad side. Whether you're orthodox traditionally or southpaw, when you switch, even though you can be offensive, it's really, really hard to have your offensive and defensive skill equate there.
We'll see if that is indeed the case, as we're seeing Anthony Jackson doing a really good job of moving back and forth. But to your point, David, I think we're going to have to see if that, maybe that becomes the case as Abimael Martinez starts to throw a little bit more. But as of right now, it really feels like Martinez is becoming a touch more tentative as Jackson continues to press forward.
He's becoming tentative a bit. However, his eyes are still open. I think what he's doing, he's looking to catch Jackson coming in. He wants to counter with a big right hand, like one big shot. However, Jackson doing a great job of coming in, but then stepping right back out of range, as you said earlier.
It's that darting cross from Jackson that's been landing on the nose of Martinez. Already you're seeing the effects. The nose is busted up. He slices in with that long range from such a far distance. A lot of times it seems as Martinez is unable to catch a beat on it.
Speaking of catching a beat, Jackson has caught a rhythm with his combinations here. 3-2 landing combinations, and then isolating that body lock, taking his time, getting Martinez to the ground, solidifying the position on his way down, which I think was very intelligent. Then, as we saw, he had some success. However, as he switched stance, we talk about the defense. He switched to orthodox here, and that's where we saw Martinez kind of have some success with his counters. So I think Jackson, even though he's doing great, we have to be careful as we switch back and forth. And when we do it, there has to be a method to the madness.
Potentially the reason he very quickly switched back to his southpaw stance very shortly thereafter. A fantastic catch from one of the best colored commentators in the game, the indomitable David Evans. What a night of action we have unfolding before us right now, as this flyweight bout has everyone in here buzzing. As Backwood Jackson, if you heard the pop when Backwood Jackson came out, it's clear he has quite the contingent behind him, and we're seeing it's for good reason.
Definitely, and we can see the confidence in him as he throws strikes. He looks just so smooth, man, as he darts in and out and just throws combinations with little to no effort.
And also now landing a couple of tough left leg kicks there is Jackson.
Martinez did a great job throwing that big left hook on the exit there. I think he's going to have great success, breaking the rhythm that Jackson has kind of built up if he does that. Fighting in between the fights, that's important.
Now coming forward a bit more is Abimael Martinez, as he's probably realized that he's got to take the center of that cage and keep it if he wants to change the tide.
Jackson doing a great job throwing that 2 right down the middle, stepping off to the angle, which is great. So he's not there for Martinez's counter. I mean, so far, Jackson just seems to be a step ahead of Martinez here on the feet.
And I gotta ask you, David, if you're in the shoes of Abimael Martinez and you figure, okay, I'm gonna put this guy in his back foot, but he continues to counter as you push him back, that's gotta be discouraging.
It has to be it is discouraging, excuse me. What he has to do is he has to add another layer. He's doing a great job of moving forward and pressuring. However, where are the feints? Where are we feinting our shots? Where are we moving up and down? Where are we moving laterally? He has to give Martinez a different look. Right now, he's letting Jackson lead the dance. He has to take control of the cadence here.
Fantastic points, and most certainly things they should be considering. They may be amateurs, but clearly both of these guys approaching their 10th amateur fight at the precipice of that next step. The question is, how does tonight go down? What does tonight tell us about their trajectory?
Right now, if Jackson's telling you anything, is that he's looking for a win. I mean, he's doing everything right. Martinez just doesn't seem to have an answer yet. I mean, the striking, he's shutting down the grappling of Martinez. It just doesn't seem that Martinez has anything that Jackson, should worry about at this point, outside of just pressure.
What we saw right now, it was Jackson getting the match back to the canvas with that same double underhook takedown. For what it's worth, we did see Martinez put up a bit more of a struggle as he was wise to it this time, but nonetheless, Jackson was able to take him down, score those points for the takedown as they worked their way back up to the feet.
Oftentimes when you see a southpaw and an orthodox fighter, it's all about that foot battle, right? Who can box who in with that lead foot? I think Jackson is so comfortable, he's not even concerned about giving up that position to Martinez. And I mean, that should be a slight if you're Martinez.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, because it has been Martinez's lead foot on the outside of Jackson's, but Jackson just takes that opportunity to slice that left cross right down the center. So it almost works to the advantage of Jackson.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, we are sitting here with suits on and headsets. We're not at the judges' table, but it sure as heck feels like it's 2 rounds in the book for Jackson.
I'd say so myself here, Christian. Here we have the replay. Look at the movement there by Jackson, moving the hands, just kind of hypnotizing Martinez. You can't really predict when he's punching and when he's just moving to throw you off your rhythm here. Martinez looking to get into a grappling exchange. However, Jackson had every answer for him. Nice little inside leg trip, solidified the takedown with the body lock, and I believe that was the second takedown there for Jackson.
Correct. And as you said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'd imagine we're going to be seeing more of this same if you're Anthony Backwoods Johnson. But if you're Abimael Martinez, I think you got to come out and swing for the fences.
Yeah, I mean, either that or just you got to throw a whole new game plan. Like, let's get to the leg attacks here. All of his grappling attacks have been up top. I mean, look at Jackson. He's a built guy. He's pretty strong, clearly. However, let's test the lower half of his body. Let's add some feints. He's doing a great job, like, looking for that right hand. It's a tad bit slow. Let's look for the left hook and box Jackson in. He just really needs to mix up his approach to his striking.
Well, continuing to press forward is Abimael Martinez, and continuing to box off of his back leg is Backwoods Jackson. Now finding a home for that jab as he switches back to his southpaw. He's orthodox, he's southpaw. He's non-stop pressure is what he is. It's really impressive, David, when you see somebody like Backwoods Jackson. We talk about the pressure, right, of Martinez, but while moving backwards, Jackson continues to pop Martinez, keep pressuring him with his own offense. It's really, really clean. It's really, really sharp.
However, he cannot relax and sit back and take a look at his work, because Martinez is starting to find a home for the big right hand on Jackson.
Well, just 2 minutes left in this flyweight contest as Abimael Martinez looks to snatch victory away from Anthony Backwood Johnson in this third and final stanza. A beautiful left cross again landing for Backwoods. it feels like if you're Anthony Backwoods Jackson, you keep landing with some sort of consistency. You don't give up anything crazy. You just might be able to galvanize that win in this third round. But there is no quit in Martinez.
Martinez still moving forward. He's still very much in this fight. I just think, you know, he's a bit outclassed here on his feet up to this point. However, never say never. It's not over till the fat lady sings, as they say. Martinez still looking for a way to victory here tonight.
To your point, I believe it was in the last second, or was it 2 seconds that our last fight took a huge turn. So anything is still very much possible with under a minute remaining in this flyweight contest.
I don't know if it's a little bit of fatigue here by Jackson. He's still looking good. However, he doesn't have as much pep in his step, and he's leaving that chin in the air. And Martinez is finding the spot. There's not much behind those punches, but it only takes one, Christian.
Absolutely, Martinez did indeed find the mark with one of his right hands there, and Jackson then countering with that double underhook. We'll see if he goes for that same trip once again. With less than 20 seconds left, these two square off in the center of the cage once again, and we'll see if they will slug it to the final bell. Abimael Martinez lands one last right hand, as this one will go to our judges, as Abimael Martinez goes all 3 rounds with Anthony Backwoods Jackson. Will Abimael Martinez take his record into the positive, going 5-4, or will this be Anthony Jackson's 5th win as an amateur? It sure felt like Anthony Jackson was firing on all cylinders, and potentially playing catch-up was Abimael Martinez. But that is not my call to make, as our judges will be tabulating their scorecards momentarily. Let's take a look at this replay. Abimael Martinez, there's that right hand he most certainly found a home for as the fight progressed. But Anthony Backwood Johnson staying on his horse, moving, continuing to dart in and out, popping jabs, crosses, and continuing offensive, even when he was on his back foot. And that was the case from beginning to end. But now it's a matter of waiting to see if the judges are in agreement with everything myself and my partner David saw. Of course, our view not necessarily the same as the experts who are going to be calling and making sure that this one goes into the record book accordingly. Anthony Backwood Jackson seeming confident that he'll be taking home another victory to MMA Stop in Patch City. Nonetheless, a valiant outing for Abimael Martinez out of Titletown MMA. Both of these fighters getting plenty of cage time and opportunity to learn and add to their skill set. But it's time to find out who our winner is. Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. And the judges scored the contest 30-27, 30-27, and 29-28. All for your winner by unanimous decision, Anthony Backwoods Jackson.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with your winner, Anthony Backwoods Jackson. Anthony, that has to be the performance of a lifetime here for you tonight. Can you walk me through your approach to this fight?
My favorite rapper, G Herbo from Chicago. He said, proper preparation prevents poor performance. I came out here performing my best.
You were definitely prepared. Were you expecting to come out here and put on a striking performance, or were you in a position to be prepared for whatever Martinez had in store here tonight?
Hey, I was everywhere. I took him down. I let him up on the feet. I was ready for this fight to go anywhere.
You were definitely everywhere, and you did a great job at it. If me in the booth commentating, I think the thing that separated you the most were your hands, your combinations, your ability to step off into the angles. What is that a testament to?
Training, my coaches, my team, everybody got me prepared for this. I can do nothing but thank all of y'all, bro. Y'all some savages, straight up.
What's next for you?
Pro. It's my last MMA fight. I'm going pro next.
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner, Anthony Backwoods Jackson.
There you heard it. Anthony Backwoods Jackson ready to make his mark on the pro circuit as he wraps up his amateur career emphatically with a fantastic outing against Abimael Martinez, as it's a clean sweep on all three judges' scorecards as Backwoods Jackson takes home his 5th amateur win and prepares for that very next step. As we prepare for our very next fight and we carry on in the flyweight division, let's kick it over to Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our next bout of the evening. 3 rounds going down in the APFC flyweight division. And now making the walk to the APFC cage first, from Ypsilanti, Michigan, Christian Hay.
Making his way to the cage is Christian Haight, another disciple of Michigan MMA Academy. Multiple fighters from that gym on the card tonight, so they are rolling deep. But this moment belongs to Christian Haight, the BJJ black belt, recently winning gold at American Grappling Federation. He's even as a mixed martial artist 2-2, most recently picking up a victory in September against Ikad Altman via unanimous decision. Altman was more experienced, but Haight proved to be the better man. Tonight, he takes on a very formidable opponent in Joe Arroyo, a wrestler. Tonight, Christian Haight brings his very clean boxing, as I mentioned, his jiu-jitsu acumen, and he squares it up against somebody that's more than happy to say, I'm ready to put you on your back.
Christian Haight coming out with a smile on his face. Looks like he wants to get out there and have fun. He looks in shape. He looks ready. He looks confident, amongst other things, Christian.
He mentioned yesterday that this is fun for him. He does this for himself, and it seemed as if that most certainly took some of the anxiety off his shoulders. Maybe the reason we see that smile en route to the cage. This guy has so much going on, so many great things going on in his life. He sees this as just another element to lean into, another way to better himself. Married recently in the fall of 2024, all things are going Christian Haight. Tonight we find out if he can pick up another win for his mixed martial arts record. In doing so tonight inside the APFC cage, likely making it the biggest of his amateur career.
Making the walk to the APFC cage from Round Lake Beach, Illinois, Joe Arroyo.
And in steps the 26-year-old Joe Arroyo. I hope this walkout takes a while because the accolades are plenty. He may come to our cage just 1-1, but an excellent wrestling acumen. Once wrestling for the University of Wisconsin Parkside, a 3-time NCAA D2 national qualifier, an Illinois state champion in 2017, a state placer in 2016, a 2-time All-American before that. David, there's guys that want to lean into the wrestling, there's guys that want to lean into the striking, but there's people like this that step into the cage and you just know they have the skill set to put you on your head.
Very much so, and he spoke to that. You know, he spoke to his wrestling pedigree, you know, and not to be biased as a wrestler myself. I mean, being an All-American from high school all the way through college, he is definitely prepared. He said the training has prepared him for anything, where MMA is just a way he's going to expand on all of that. However, he is a martial artist. He feels he has all of the skills to go out there and be successful.
Coming out of Avila Combat Laboratories, it's certain that he's covering all bases inside the gym. But I think the quote that he left us with that kind of was stirring for all of us was, "The ground is my world." And that was sort of it. We will see if the MMA cage is also his world. Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC flyweight division, sponsored by Tequila Ocho. And now introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 5 feet 7 inches tall. He officially weighed in at 125 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 2 victories with 2 losses, and fighting out of Ypsilanti, Michigan, Christian Hay. And across the cage, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a freestyle fighter. He stands 5 feet 4 inches tall and officially weighed in at 125 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 1 victory with 1 loss, and fighting out of Round Lake Beach, Illinois, Joe Arroyo. And the referee in charge is Chris Cleveter.
Chris Cleveter, our referee for this matchup, as Joe Arroyo faces off against Christian Haight in the flyweight division. Meeting in the center of the cage, very quickly you see Christian Haight, the longer rangier fighter than the wrestler Joe Arroyo.
Haight coming out looking to use that jab right away, right down the center as he steps in, looking to take control of the pace of the fight. However, I'm a little bit worried he's not quite setting up his punches. There's not much movement, much head movement there. He needs to be careful to not get caught with his head on the center line as he strikes.
Just 30 seconds in, but seeming very patient is Joe Arroyo, as he does eat a shot there as Christian Haight looks to pour it on against the fence.
Haight did a great job throwing up that leg kick. I believe the knee actually caught Arroyo there and almost set him down, wobbled him for a little bit. However, Arroyo looking to get right back to where what we said his bread and butter would be, his wrestling.
Yeah, certainly rocking him momentarily there was Christian Haight. And now, reaching into his wrestling toolbox is Joe Arroyo, working those double underhooks now against the fence. Tricky to do against a taller fighter like this.
Yeah, I mean, but it's gonna definitely lock Haight against the cage here. In that double underhook, what he needs to do is get his head involved, and he does a great job, just as I said it. He wants to get his forehead into the jawline there of Haight to kind of keep him pinned and look to maybe transition to either a leg attack or take his back. Right to the double leg here. Arroyo, I feel like I'm in this corner right now for the last 30 seconds. He did a great job getting that leg attack, double leg takedown, has Haight on his back. Now Haight spoke to his jiu-jitsu yesterday. He said he was definitely prepared for the wrestler in Arroyo to come out and take him down, but he said he had something for him.
Well, we will see if that is the case, as it's Christian Haight employing the full guard right now from the bottom. Feeding the hip, although the feet and the hips lead me to believe he's maybe trying to create some space to push off. A tall task when you have the heavy top pressure of an All-American wrestler like Joe Arroyo.
Arroyo looks to let Haight back up to his feet. Big right hand, left hook, then exits. Nice duck under to a double leg by Arroyo. I mean, there you have it. All-American wrestler here, right here in APFC, getting that takedown with all the flash.
Gets the takedown and potentially threatening an arm triangle now is Joe Arroyo, as he's looking to put the squeeze on Christian Haight.
Arroyo transitions beautifully into that arm triangle, takes the time, smother him, and that's gonna be it.
Joe Arroyo, your winner via arm triangle in the first round, advancing his record to 2-1. Joe Arroyo uses his grappling to get his wrestling, to take this match to the canvas. And once there, he was absolutely dominant, David.
Indeed, he did exactly what he said he was going to do. Come out there and get to his world, which is the wrestling and the grappling. You know, he weathered the storm there, catching that knee from Haight. However, was able to get through it, get back to his wrestling. We saw some beautiful takedowns, closing the distance, dumping Haight until that grounded position. Even had some moments on his feet here, but once he got to that head and arm triangle, that was all she wrote. Haight tried to hang in there as much as he can, but that squeeze was tight there, Christian.
Yeah, absolutely. Hanging tough was Christian Haight. But at the end of the day, when that choke is locked in and the person on top of you is someone with the kind of squeeze and pressure of Joe Arroyo, it's going to be a short night. Let's get our official decision from Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our referee, Chris Cleveter, ended the fight. The official time coming at 2 minutes, 42 seconds of round number 1. Declaring your winner by submission via arm triangle, Joe Arroyo.
Arroyo getting it done and taking home another win to Avila Combat Laboratories. The Kenosha, Wisconsin native getting brought in to be a big help to the wrestling program at Avila, of course, but clearly taking plenty of skills from those around him as he comes out looking very well-rounded, very calm, but it's just that grappling, it's that wrestling, David.
Yeah, I definitely think, you know, his demeanor carried him through his fight. I mean, we saw him get wobbled. I mean, that could have been all she wrote. That was a hard knee there by his opponent. However, it didn't detour him from what he came here to do. He got back to his bread and butter, got back to the wrestling, some beautiful takedowns. I mean, explosiveness. We saw the hands, a nice little 3-2, then got back to the wrestling. I mean, if he is able to make those adjustments, he's able to weather storms like that, he's going to be successful going forward here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Despite being in the embryonic stages of his amateur mixed martial arts career, it's clear to see that Joe Arroyo has all the potential to be a real contender. Let's go ahead and move on with some more action tonight, and let's go kick it over to the voice of our cage, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our next bout of the evening. 3 rounds going down in the APFC featherweight division. And now, making the walk to the APFC cage first, from Puerto Rico, the demigod Perez.
In steps Rico, the demigod Perez. If you think back to our interview yesterday, there is no shortness of confidence for Rico, the demigod Perez. 3-1 in his mixed martial arts campaign as the Primal MKE representative. Most recently picking up a win via strikes over Terrence Fox. He was out there looking like a young Sugar Sean O'Malley, darting in and out. At 6'1", this guy could be a problem in the featherweight division, David.
I mean, he definitely has, you know, some flashy striking. He's very fun to watch. I mean, he's definitely a showman. I mean, the one-man show that is Rico Perez. I mean, if the weigh-ins were any indication on what this fight will be, he's going to bring the personality, he's going to bring the heat, and this is going to be a fun one to watch.
A sharpshooter with a piston-like right hand. The demigod Perez looks to make a mark tonight inside the APFC cage. Also 2-0 and undefeated as a kickboxer. Despite the sharpness in his striking, he says, I am just a brawler, and I plan to win all the belts, including the APFC one, saying he's gonna have a very close eye on the APFC amateur title that's up for grabs later tonight. But it's one fight at a time as the demigod Rico Perez faces off against APFC veteran Hazen Rice. Now, Hazen Rice may be the veteran of our APFC cage, but I think it's Rico Perez that looks very at home as he gets checked out and makes his way into the cage.
Yeah, I mean, much like yesterday at the weigh-ins, this guy is very I won't say calm, but confident for sure. I mean, he definitely believes in his skills. He definitely believes in his ability to go out there and perform. Now there's only one thing left to do, and that's to go out there and perform.
And now making the walk to the APFC cage, fighting out of Madison, Wisconsin, Hazen Rice.
In steps the Madison police officer, Hazen Rice. Last in the APFC cage in May's Fight Fiesta, he picked up a win over Derek Wicks. Since then, he faced off against another APFC veteran in Ashanti Olafantilla. That fight did not go his way. Now, 3-1, looking to get back to his winning ways is Hazen Rice, but he does indeed have his work cut out for him as he faces off against the demigod tonight.
Definitely a talented guy. I think this is a contrast stylistically, which often makes for the most exciting fights. He knows exactly what he's getting himself into. Coming off that loss, he has a chip on his shoulder, and I think he's going to be more motivated than ever to go out there and get a dominant victory.
At first glance, it's easy to call this one a striker versus grappler matchup, and I'm going to tell you why. We talked about the striking of the demigod, but let's talk about the wrestling of Hazen Rice, a 3-time Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference champion. This young man went 28-1 in his 2020 campaign. He knows how to get the job done on the ground. Now ready to show the world that he can get the job done inside the cage. As a wrestler yourself, David, talk to us about what it takes to make that streamlined transition from wrestling.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you this, MMA wrestling and wrestling are two different things. When you add the component of the cage in there, when you add the component of someone actually fighting off their back.
As we take a look at the tail of the tape, these records are going to be even at 3-1. 5 years the elder is the demigod, and also 3 inches taller is Perez. The weight, 146.2 across the board. This tail of the tape brought to you by Combat Corner. Let's get this one started.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC Featherweight Division, sponsored by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And now introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a freestyle fighter. He stands 6 feet 2 inches tall, and he officially weighed in at 146.2 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 3 victories with 1 loss, damas y caballeros de San Juan, Puerto Rico, the demigod Perez. And across the cage, his opponent fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 5 feet 10 inches tall and officially weighed in at 146.2 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 3 wins and 1 loss, and fighting out of Madison, Wisconsin, Hayden Rice. And your referee in charge is Chris Claviter.
Chris Claviter, our referee, as these featherweights prepare to lock horns underneath the bright lights at APFC 16. Christian Reynoso alongside the indomitable David Evans. What a night we have thus far, and you can feel the energy rise as these featherweights walk into the cage.
You want to talk about energy, we're talking about Rico Perez. He said he wants to get out there and just put on an exciting, striking display, and he's off to a good start so far.
You see him there observing the battlefield. There's something to the way that he can just look over and he just seems so in control right now, does the demigod. It's got to be a little bit unsettling for his opponent.
You know, he's stalking in, he's looking to frame and measure to land that big right hand. However, his opponent, Rice, getting to what he does best, right to the wrestling. In on that double leg, looking to climb in transition to possibly mount, doing a great job getting that right arm over the shoulder of Perez. Might have the tides turn just like that.
No kidding, well, locking up a body triangle from the bottom there is the demigod. You gotta have some really long legs to do that. You don't see that all too often, David.
I mean, 6'2" at featherweight, I mean, he's gonna be able to pull off some funky stuff on the bottom here. I mean, we know him as a striker. However, we're seeing some good stuff off of the back. Like you said, the figure 4 body lock, looking like he was going to go over with the, the De La Hiva. I don't want to mess it up. Lock there off the bottom, looking to isolate the far arm. Those are things you can only do if you have a significant reach off of your back.
Yeah, looking to set up that triangle off the bottom is the demigod, but also potentially threatening a Kimura as he's over the shoulder.
Reaching across the back there, locking that Kimura on that near arm. I mean, pushing off the hips. I mean, if you ask me, he looks like a jiu-jitsu guy.
One thing's for certain is the demigod is already very well-rounded. Just this his 5th amateur bout for the Primal MKE fighter.
Are we looking modified buggy choke there for a second? I mean, he's throwing a little bit of everything off of his back so far.
Certainly unorthodox off his back is Rico Perez. But it feels like Hazen Rice is kind of comfortable settling in inside the guard, pressuring in here and waiting for his opportunity to start landing strikes or potentially threaten the back.
Rice is doing everything right up to this point, able to transition in that scramble to the back, looking for the rear naked choke. Giving the demigod something to think about, proving that maybe he's human after all. It's not quite under the chin, but we see sometimes it can turn into a jaw crank, a neck crank, and fights finish here.
It looks as if Perez is potentially going to survive the situation, but Hazen Rice showing us that he's very much in this fight.
Perez doing a great job isolating that hand there. of Rice. Normally you want to attack the hand that's threatening you, the one under the chin. However, he was able to get the far hand, which created some space, created some distance, and got him out of hot water there.
A smile from ear to ear on the face of Rico Perez as he clearly didn't find that first round all too concerning.
Here we have the replay. Perez was looking to measure up with that long uppercut from far out. However, Rice said exactly what he was going to do. He's going to go out there, get to his wrestling, got to that double leg, and just kind of had his way throughout the majority of that round. Was able to get to the back here of Rico Perez, threatened the rear naked choke. I think that's easily going to give him the round, and I think Perez now has something to think about here going into the second round.
We will see if Hazen Rice goes back to the wrestling well, as he was pretty quick to look for that takedown early on in the fight before finally securing it about midway through the first round. Rico Perez looking very loose again as he approaches this second stanza. David, is it just me or are these some huge featherweights?
Man, I think that's just the state of featherweight now. I mean, as a featherweight currently actively competing at 5'8", man, these guys seem to get taller and leaner as the time goes by.
Starting off with a front kick there is a demigod. Just narrowly missing, getting caught with a big hook there was Hazen Rice.
Perez throwing those strikes from left field, coming in with a front kick, jumping side kick, swinging left and right from the hip, man. He has to be careful, though. I mean, he has a lot of flash. He seems fluid. His movement's good. However, he does get out of position here, and for a wrestler like Rice, that's what he's looking for.
Interestingly enough, now it's Rico Perez with the huge takedown.
Perez gets in, locks the body up, dumps Rice down. Let's see how he can work now from the top. We saw him off the back. He seemed to have some great mechanics here on the ground. Now let's see how he moves offensively here.
Perez looking very strong from inside that clinch as he brought the very accomplished wrestler down to the mat. Now potentially locking up that far side wrist, maybe going for that Dagestani handcuff there is Rico Perez.
Perez doing a great job just keeping control of Rice here, looking to slide the boot in on the right-hand side and split Rice in half. That's going to prevent Rice from being able to build his hips up and get to his hand and build a base ultimately. However, Rice on the bottom just holding, looking for a bit of a Kimura position.
Correct,
however,
yeah.
It's on the wrong side. He's not really going to be able to leverage it right now. However, he uses it to create space and gets back into a shot of his own.
What a beautiful scramble by Hazen Rice, working his way to the top. Now
we have a mutual guillotine position going on here. This is unique to say the least, Christian.
Yeah.
I think Perez is going to have more of the leverage here, but
I've heard of going foot to foot, but never neck to neck, David. That was a first. Now it's inside the guard for Hazen Rice.
What Rice needs to do is he needs to get his legs to the left side of Perez here, because he's in danger now that he's in the middle. If Perez scoots his hips out to the left side, he can maybe attack guillotine. Rice needs to make sure he doesn't let that get deeper. He needs to get his hips out to the far side of Perez and get perpendicular.
It does. Felt momentarily like Perez potentially did have that under the chin of Rice. But to your point, David, the position was not quite there. Hazen Rice potentially wise to the whole thing now, back inside the full guard.
If you're Rice, you can't rest here. We've seen Perez throw many different techniques off his back. He can't rest with his hands on the mat here, because someone like Perez, you saw him throw a possible triangle choke, I believe, in the first round here. He has attacks off his back. You got to stay busy when you get him in dominant positions.
Yeah, I started off this matchup talking about the striking acumen of the demigod, but one thing's for certain is he's been working on a lot of other things at Primal MKE.
Here we have Perez jumping in with that Spartan-like side kick, following it up with an uppercut, just swinging from the hip here. not able to land much, but I mean, constantly moving forward. He got into this body lock position and dumped Rice on his hips. I think we were all shocked to kind of see that from Perez. He had some success, got the back here. However, Rice was able to create a scramble position, get his hips out and reverse it into a double leg. And then we went neck to neck with that mutual guillotine, but Perez got the better of it, but wasn't able to finish the fight or attack it or threaten Rice in that junction of the fight.
A very exciting first 2 rounds as Hazen Rice and the demigod Rico Perez face off in the prelims of APFC 16. 2 featherweights with a ton of potential, looking to use the other as a springboard to that next step tonight inside of the APFC cage. Chris Claviter gets us going in round 3.
Perez marching forward, taking control of the cage here. Rice in on the single leg, high C there, dumps Perez down. He has to be careful. Perez could possibly, I thought he was looking to go guillotine, but he's actually over the back here of Rice. So not much of a threat there as far as the submission is concerned, but maybe in a good position to counter, get his hips up, or even dump him over.
Absolutely, using that double overhook and a butterfly hook there is Rico Perez looking to flip position. It's going to be tricky to sweep somebody like Hazen Rice with all the wrestling that he's done in his life.
Rice looking to lock the legs here of Perez. Look for him to maybe climb the body, perhaps go side control here. Or as we know, wrestlers tend to be comfortable in the half guard position. He needs to get his right arm back though, however, because Perez is in a position to where he could possibly create space and look to come out the back door on Rice. Who would have thought, I mean, this would be a grappling display here for both of these guys.
Well, Hazen Rice choosing to go to that wrestling well more than once definitely had a lot to do with that, is when he has gone to that outside single, he's had great success putting the demigod on his back. This is the second time he employed that same takedown.
And he's done a great job getting here. However, he needs to build. With someone as dynamic as Perez, you never know when he can flip the switch and put himself back in the fight. You get Perez in a dominant position, we need to not only secure the position, we need to do some damage. We need to look for ground and pound. We need to look to advance and threaten submissions as well, too.
1 minute remaining in the entirety of this bout, as Hazen Rice using his grappling acumen to try to thwart the striking of Rico Perez, who has shown us in this matchup he's much more than just a striker. Nonetheless, that top pressure of Hazen Rice absolutely stifling.
Perez came into this matchup with a lot of energy. He was supremely confident yesterday in his flash. Right now, with 30 seconds left, it's time to pull it out. We can't just have it before. We got to be able to have it when we're in the midst of the war, when we're in the midst of the chaos, and when we're down and out. This is where you prove that. This is where you prove that you're a performer. This is when you prove that you have the capabilities that you say you have. And Rice able to isolate the back position here and just continues to go to work and grind on Perez.
With 10 seconds remaining in the fight, if you're Hazen Rice, finishing in this position is much to your chagrin, as it looks like he'll be finishing this bout with the back of the demigod as we go to the judges' scorecard, as Hazen Rice and the demigod Rico Perez go all 9 minutes. Very evenly contested matchup, although it did feel the wrestling acumen of Hazen Rice may have been enough to pull him just ahead.
I think the wrestling, the positional control here of Rice should give him the edge. I mean, you never know, fights are subjective. Here we have Perez, you know, he came out hot early, throwing punches and bunches. However, Rice made the adjustments, changed levels, got to that single leg. The outside single, was able to dump Perez on his butt multiple times and then secure takedowns, advanced positions, control Perez pretty much for the entirety of the fight.
Rico Perez and Hazen Rice, potentially the type of fighters that could see each other once again, be it as amateurs or professionals, as they both came in with matching records and show just how evenly contested they are as featherweights. We'll have to wait for our judges to tabulate, but as of right now, well, I'm not making any predictions. That's outside of my pay grade, David.
No, let's stick to our job here in the booth. I would hate to be the judges here sometimes, man. It's a tough job.
With that being said, I think there is a reason it's taken a while to tabulate these scorecards. But it looks like this decision has been rendered. Let's make it official with Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. And our first judge scored the fight, 30-27 Perez. Another judge had it, 29-28 Rice. And our third judge, sitting at cage side, scored the fight, 29-28 for your winner by split decision. Out of the red corner, Hazen Rice.
Hazen Rice advances his record to 4-1 with a split decision victory over the demigod Perez. Well, there you have it, David. We weren't quite sure which way it was going to go, but clearly the judges weren't either, as we had a split. Plenty to work with and plenty to learn from for both of these featherweights as we carry on with our action tonight here at APFC 16.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our next bout of the evening. 3 rounds going down for the APFC Bantamweight Championship. And now, making the walk to the APFC cage first, he's fighting out of Holman, Wisconsin, Dakota Frazier.
As here we have Dakota Frazier making his way to the cage. An incredibly hot prospect that's really willing and ready to step inside of the cage and take home the inaugural APFC amateur title. He came to us with all the confidence in the world yesterday, David, letting us know he feels he could get the job done, be it on the feet or on the ground.
You know, this kid undefeated. He's confident as ever. He walks in here, he's bringing the energy. He seems focused. Hey, if he thinks he can do it, this is going to be the fight to prove it.
A very strong wrestling background for Dakota Frazier. He chains his takedowns together beautifully. He has a fantastic blast double after wrestling at the University of Dubuque. He's known the whole time, actually, even before that he wanted to be a fighter. While in high school, he says he wrestled purely with the idea of transitioning to mixed martial arts one day, and that transition was clearly seamless as he steps in 4-0, now looking to take home APFC gold. Been working for the family business since 2021. He installs floors for the family business of Gobin Allianz Flooring Center, and tonight he looks to put a shellacking on Vargas. We'll kick it over, Michael Hansen.
And now, making the walk to the APFC cage, fighting out of Chicago, Illinois, Israel, the Hurricane Vargas. And in steps the undefeated 20-year-old, the 3D martial arts product, the Hurricane, Israel Vargas, stepping inside the cage, bringing his 4-0 record, putting it up against Dakota Frazier's 4-0 record, saying somebody's always got to go, and the one who doesn't is going to be taking home APFC gold. He has been nothing short of sensational, David. As you like to call it, homegrown talent here at the APFC. We've watched his evolution from APFC 10, 11, the Waukesha Rumble, APFC 14, now here at APFC 16, looking to write history as the first amateur champion the APFC has ever seen.
Yeah, Vargas has been one of the more exciting young prospects here to watch in the APFC. I mean, we've seen this guy in just about every situation. He's a young guy. I think he wins this title. He's going to be off to a good start to potentially go pro at some point here, Christian.
Absolutely, everything going in his favor thus far. But as we mentioned, just 20-year-old is the youngster Israel Vargas, but mature beyond his years. The 2024 APFC Amateur of the Year winner said it felt amazing, but he's putting that behind him as it's time to write a new chapter. Wisconsin's #2 ranked amateur bantamweight, according to Tapology, says he only wants to fight the best at this point in his career. Well, he's certainly got that as he squares off against Dakota Frazier. He's had a lot of things going on in his personal life, a lot of loss, a lot of L's in his personal life. He's saying he's looking to step inside the cage, and there's no more L's for him. It's a W he's looking for. It's a belt he's looking for. As we take a look at our tale of the tape. The 20-year-old Israel Vargas brings his 4-0 record against Dakota Frazier's 4-0 record. 24 years old is Dakota Frazier, as both fighters are 5 foot 10 inches tall. Both fighters weighing in at 136 pounds, as this is being brought to you by Combat Corner. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds for the undisputed APFC Bantamweight Championship. Sponsored by Cat's Law. For all your criminal and traffic violations, call Cats. And now, introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 5 feet, 10 inches tall, and officially weighed in at 136.2 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 4 wins and no losses, and fighting out of Holman, Wisconsin, Dakota Frazier. And across the cage, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a funk jitsu fighter. He stands 5 feet, 10 inches tall, and officially weighed in at 136.8 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 4 wins and no losses, and fighting out of Chicago, Illinois, Israel, the Hurricane Vargas.
All right, gentlemen, join me in the middle. Went over the rules, we're back. Defend yourselves at all times. You obey my commands at all times. You want to touch gloves? Do now. Back to
Tom DeVellis giving final instructions as these two prepare to square off, putting their undefeated records on the line and vying for an APFC championship. And we are underway, David.
2 long, strong bantamweights here, getting to the center of the cage here, just duking it out already, 10 seconds into the fight.
One thing we've seen from Israel the Hurricane Vargas is that he's more than willing to withstand an onslaught to deliver a bit of his own. I mentioned some big fights inside the APFC cage, most recently against Ethan Ortiz. A very evenly matched fight, but staying strong and remaining resilient was the Hurricane in that fight. But now it's Dakota Frazier potentially threatening a guillotine.
Well, Vargas is on the opposite side, so he's going to be okay as far as the submission threat is concerned. I mean, both of these guys living up to the hype of the inaugural title fight here in APFC.
Israel Vargas working right in front of his corner right now, but advancing to mount is Dakota Frazier.
Frazier able to sweep here and get on top of Vargas. Vargas looking to wall walk and create space here to maybe get back on top here in the in the guard here of Frazier. I mean, this fight is back and forth. I mean, and we're a minute and a half into it just about.
Yeah, Israel the Hurricane Vargas showing his fight IQ there, realizing where he was positionally against the fence and using that wall walk, as you mentioned, to reverse the position. Not an easy task against somebody with the base of Dakota Frazier.
Frazier was looking to switch, however, Vargas jump in the back here, looking for a choke here. Is not going to get it, I don't think. Frazier able to just attack the hands. Oh, he's still under there.
Potentially under the chin or across the jawline goes the Hurricane. putting on the squeeze is the Hurricane, looking to take Frazier
I
out.
think he got it there, Christian. Was that a tap?
And
Yes.
that is a tap, and that is a wrap. And ladies and gentlemen, Israel the Hurricane Vargas is your first inaugural APFC Bantamweight Amateur Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story of a Hurricane. Israel Vargas takes home gold. Dakota Frazier came out the gates hot, using his wrestling acumen to take control early. Remaining resilient was the Hurricane. An unbelievable job getting it done. Here we see Hazen Rice pressuring forward early, using those kicks to potentially set up a takedown, but it was the Hurricane remaining resilient, pressuring forward, waiting for just the right opportunity. He used that fence to switch positions and go from bottom to top. And little did we know that was the beginning of the end. He works his way to the back. He gets under the chin. He gets the tap, and he gets the strap. Israel the Hurricane Vargas, your new APFC Amateur Bantamweight Champion. And now, to crown the champ in the way that only he can, the voice of our cage, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our referee Tom DeVellis put an end to the fight. The official time, 2 minutes and 10 seconds of round number 1, declaring your winner by submission via rear naked choke. And now, the undisputed APFC Bantamweight Champion, Israel, the Hurricane Vargas.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with your inaugural APFC Amateur Bantamweight Champion. Can you walk me through what's going through your mind right now, Israel?
Man, there's a lot of emotions, man. Feel like crying, feel like laughing, feel like a bunch of things. First, I want to thank God. None of this is possible without God. Big shout out to Dakota Frazier for taking the challenge. Much love to him. I'm a big fan of his. He's been tearing it up too, so we'll definitely see him back. But yeah, I'm lost for emotions. My grandma's anniversary of her death was yesterday. My best friend Francis, oh fuck, sorry guys. My best friend Francis died at the beginning of the year, so it was a little bit of a rough camp, and I didn't know if I could make it through, but I want to thank my team, my mom, my best friends. I love you guys. Milwaukee, I love you guys. This means the world. Thank you guys, thank you.
Izzy, I'm sorry for your loss, man, but you did not let that deter you from coming out here and getting a win against an undefeated opponent. You were undefeated yourself. Can you tell me from a technical or tactical perspective what you were expecting from Frazier and what you did to prepare for this championship?
Definitely was expecting a little bit of wrestling, so when he caught that leg, I was like, okay, now it's time to pull out some funk jitsu, try and find a choke or try and find something. He really thugged it out, man. Like, I had that choke in for a while, and I could even hear him. He went, like it was good, and he fought very hard. So, yeah, just preparing for a wrestler and coming out on top is amazing.
I think you are for sure the testament of the caliber of athletes that we bring here in the APFC, even at the amateur level. Now you're the best. What's next?
Next up, we're going to keep working our asses off and work to get pro and win another championship, but the next championship is going to be a pro one for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, your APFC Bantamweight Champion, Israel Vargas.
At this time, we will be taking a brief 10-minute intermission, and we'll resume the action at 5:35. Once again, a brief 10-minute intermission, and we will be resuming the action at 5:35. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our next bout of the evening. 3 rounds going down in the APFC lightweight division. And now, making the walk to the APFC cage first, he's fighting out of Hillsdale, Michigan, Alan Holloway.
In steps Alan Holloway after going 6-0 as an amateur. The Michigan MMA Academy product is ready to make a mark on the professional circuit. Just 22 years of age. Not just 4 wins, but 4 sensational ones, most recently capping off his amateur career with a big win over Johnny Malagousas, a very highly touted Malagousas, finishing via triangle armbar in the second round back at APFC 14. Before that, he was collecting belts, winning a belt in another organization in February, and before that, it was September when he had another victim via triangle. This young man is long, rangy. He considers himself a striker, but he has a very active guard. Currently the #1 amateur ranked lightweight in Michigan and the #8 ranked amateur lightweight in North America. According to Tapology, the accolades are many for this young man, David.
Yeah, I mean, undefeated as an amateur. I mean, this guy has been in there. He has a wealth of experience. However, it all starts for him here tonight as he makes his professional debut. He's 0-0. He's starting with a clean slate. However, I'm confident he's going to go out there and put on a performance here, Christian.
With 5 of his 6 amateur wins coming by way of finish, this Golden Glove champion boxer lets us know he does not care to incorporate the judges in the least. We'll see if that truly prepares to be the case as he takes on Jorge Casiano.
Making the walk to the APFC cage from Rogers Park, Illinois, Jorge Luis El Guerrero Casiano.
El Guerrero Casiano making his way to the cage. 34 years old, 0-1 as a pro. He did have 5 amateur bouts that he took to a 4-1 record. This his first fight out of Max Gym. Now, we last saw him inside of the APFC cage taking on one half of our main event as he picked up a rear naked choke loss against Mark Choinsky. Getting choked out by Mark Choinsky, David, I'd say there's no shame in that, my friend.
I mean, definitely not the result you want, but however, that's the result that Choinsky gets often. However, he can come in here tonight, he gets to right that wrong against a debuting opponent. As you can see, he seems supremely confident. He has the energy. He's walking out with a bit of a swagger as he steps into the cage, so clearly that loss has not affected him.
All 5 of his bouts coming underneath the Combat Night banner, an organization based out of Florida which pulls a lot of high-level talent. This young man has been out there for quite some time. Formerly a track and football athlete, he boxed as a child. He says everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the face, and I asked him about his opponent, Holloway. I said, he seems like a really tough guy. He seems like a guy that knows how to get the job done. He paused, he looked at both of us, David. He said, yeah, I see the dog in him, but I'm a mutt.
Poetic, to say the least there, Christian, and we'll see if he can get out there and get into that dog fight and pull out a victory here.
If nothing else, I think that quote belongs on a t-shirt, but that is something for after this 155 professional pound affair as Jorge El Guerrero Casiano, Jose Luis El Guerrero Casiano, faces off against Alan Holloway at 155 pounds. It's Michigan MMA taking on Max Gym. Let's take a look at this tail of the tape as Jose Luis El Guerrero Casiano, 0-1 as a pro, taking on the debuting Alan Holloway. 12 years the elder is Jorge Luis Casiano, but 4 inches taller is the youngster, as both of these boys made the mark at 155 pounds. This is brought to you by Combat Corner once again. Let's make it official, Michael.
Ladies and gentlemen, all of tonight's professional bouts are sanctioned by the Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services. Commissioner Mary Murphy Edwards. Our judges for our pro bouts are Rick Winter, Brandon Mason, and Gabe Sabatis. And now this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC lightweight division, sponsored by Carnivore Steakhouse, the #1 steakhouse in Milwaukee. And now, introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a knockout artist. He stands 6 feet 2 inches tall and officially weighed in at 154.2 pounds. Coming in tonight, making his professional debut, fighting out of Hillsdale, Michigan, Alan Holloway. And across the cage, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 5 feet 10 inches tall, and he officially weighed in at 155.2 pounds. Coming in tonight with a professional record of 0 wins and 1 loss, and fighting out of Rogers Park, Illinois, Jorge Luis El Guerrero Cassiano. And your referee in charge is Tom DeVellis.
Tom DeVellis, our third man inside the cage for this, our first professional bout, as Alan Holloway debuts against Jorge Luis El Guerrero Cassiano.
Round 1, blue ready? Round 1, red ready? Let's go!
Holloway in the black APFC trunks, Cassiano in the Max Gym Muay Thai Gorilla trunks.
Holloway coming in, staying long, posting that jab out there. We see the teeps coming up down the middle. Cassiano looking to just put his head down and march forward. We're off to a bit of a frenetic pace so far here, Christian.
Yeah, going for a spinning back fist there was Alan Holloway. He told us that he believes his stand-up will make the difference in this fight. As now that we venture into the professional leagues, we're going to be seeing some knees to the head, elbows as well. An entirely different rule set, David.
For sure, different rule set, different pace. Cassiano grabbing the fence, however, it didn't affect the outcome. So I believe referee Tom DeBellis is going to let that one slide just this one time. But Holloway on top looking to go to work, grinding his head into the forehead of Cassiano as he gets that mount position.
Looking to slice through the full mount is Holloway, and successful at that he is as he delivers strikes against the fence. Holloway transitioning to the back. It's 1 hook, it's 2. It's under the chin, it's a tap, and it's a wrap. Officially 1-0 and now undefeated as a professional.
I'll tell you what,
Alan Holloway.
That was a clean victory, clean performance there by Holloway. He used his range in the striking, was able to float once he got his opponent to the ground, got the position, got the submission, and I mean, that's it.
He goes in and he gets the job done in 1, does Alan Holloway, as he remains perfect from the amateurs, now perfect as a pro.
And an almost perfect victory here. Holloway was able to knee slide across the belly here of Cassiano, landed some punches, and then once he got on the back, he got that left arm under the throat. That was all she wrote, and he's off to a good start in his professional career at 1-0 here in APFC.
And when we talked to him yesterday, David, he mentioned that, you know, at this point he has taken kind of a leadership role at the gym. He realizes that other fighters are looking up to him, and we realize that when we talk to some of his teammates, clearly embracing the role and doing a fantastic job at it is Alan Holloway.
Tom DeVellis put an end to the fight. The official time, 1 minute and 24 seconds of round number 1. Declaring your winner by submission via rear naked choke, Alan Holloway.
Alan Holloway putting away Jorge Luis Cassiano in the first round via rear naked choke, and kicking off his pro career in the best way possible. A first round finish, unblemished. Not a bad way to get through it, David.
Not a bad way at all. Unblemished, literally and figuratively here. He got in, got the job done in the first round. He's off to a great start, 1-0. As a pro, it doesn't get much better than that.
Absolutely, and you saw him kind of adjusting on the move with his new rule set. He started with some punching from the mountain. Remembered he could elbow. It's going to be very exciting to watch the progression of somebody like Alan Holloway. Let's keep the action going here at APFC. Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our next bout of the evening. 3 rounds going down in the APFC at a catch weight of 150 pounds. And now, making the walk to the APFC cage first, he is fighting out of St. Paul, Minnesota, Thomas, the Redeemed Vivering.
In steps Thomas, the Redeemed Vivering. We talked to him yesterday, David, and it just seemed like he is in such a good mental place. Of all the fighters we spoke to, this most certainly stood out to me, is that he just seemed to be he came to us letting us know he may be 0-3 as a pro, but he is ready to make the shift that he needs. He lives and dies by this submission. He wants to go out there and show the world that a Christian man, much like himself, can go out there and be more than just the stereotype. He feels as if he's fighting for something bigger. And I quote, "If I wake up, there's a reason that I am breathing. God brings me so much peace." Now, no matter your own belief system, somebody that walks out there with that sort of mind frame most certainly doesn't have the same sort of fears that maybe somebody that does not.
For sure, he spoke to his spirituality. He spoke to the mental clarity that it provides him, not only just fighting throughout training and life outside the cage. And he says that's what motivates him to push forward and move forward and be himself and be an example of what faith can give you in life and in the cage.
Showing just everybody what it means to be a fighter, not just inside the cage, but outside of it. Enduring a lot of difficulties in his personal life. He had some deaths in the family in years past, but now he's using this platform to be an example of hope, not just for himself, but for all those out there to keep fighting inside the cage and out. He fights to be a living testimony tonight. He looks to make a statement for himself and for a much bigger picture. Does Thomas, the Redeemed Vivering.
Making the walk to the APFC cage from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, Brennan, the Marshall Malgren.
And enter Brennan the Marshall Malgren, 25 years old, coming to us. We've seen him in the APFC cage back at APFC 14, taking on Muhammad Mali. Interestingly enough, his opponent's last opponent also Muhammad Mali. Now it's Malgren looking to pick up the first win of his pro career, currently 0-1 after a very accomplished amateur career in which he went 5-1 with a ton of finishes. He's letting us know that the best is yet to come. In his previous loss, he didn't get the training that he needed or the training that he wanted. But this fight, everything has been different. He plans to make it messy, he plans to make it bloody, and he plans to take home a W, David.
For sure, he's coming out here focused. He seems very intentional as he walks out here, man, just confident, focused, and just wants to go out there and be deliberate in his approach to this fight.
And for those of you wondering where the nickname of the Marshal comes from, it has nothing to do with being a fire marshal or anything of the sorts. 70 of his 75 wins in high school one year were all via the Marshal pin. So this guy, he's a guy who knows how to go out there and work his bread and butter. That to me, I see that. I see a guy that knows how to go out there and get the job done. Oftentimes, even if people know what's coming, unable to stop it. Brendan the Marshal Malgren knows how to win. He knows how to get the job done. And he's going to have a very tall task ahead of him in the very inspired, the Redeemed Vivering.
Yeah, there's something to be said in the consistency of performance, which he spoke to, in his wrestling background. I would always say, you know, seeing it and stopping it is two different things. When you master a technique or you master a move or an approach to anything, people can study it, they can watch film, they can do whatever they need to do, but when you're in there and it's coming at you, that's a whole different world there, Christian.
Absolutely, as both these fighters look to pick up their first wins as professionals. I already mentioned it once. Both of them facing off against Muhammad Mali in the APFC, picking up losses in the past, but one thing's for certain is these boys have the best yet to come. As we take a look at this tale of the tape, as Brendan the Marshall Melgren takes on Thomas the Redeemed Vevering. 0-1 as a pro is Melgren, and the Redeemed going 0-3, 5 years the elder is Vevering. 2 inches taller is a Marshall, as both these fighters came in underneath the catch weight of 150 pounds. We kick it over to the voice of our cage, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC at a catch weight of 150 pounds. Sponsored by Toyo Tires and the Wisconsin Athletic Center. And now, introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 5 feet 8 inches tall and officially weighed in at 149.2 pounds. Coming in tonight with a professional record of 0 wins and 3 losses, and fighting out of St. Paul, Minnesota, Thomas the Redeemed Vevering. And across the cage, his opponent fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 5 feet 10 inches tall and officially weighed in at 149 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of no wins and 1 loss, and fighting out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin, Brennan the Marshall Melgren. And your referee in charge is Chris Cleveter.
Chris Cleveter, our referee for this 150-pound catch weight bout, as Brendan the Marshall Melgren takes on Thomas the Redeemed Vevering. This night is just ramping up with each and every bout, David. We've yet to get to the main card.
Melgren laser focus as he comes out with a huge left hand. That'll wake you up there, Vevering.
Some beautiful knees from the plum for the Marshall.
Melgren just approaching this fight with an intensity that I don't think we've seen before from him. 12-6 elbows from the top. He's looking to put an end to Vevering early.
If I remember correctly, he actually mentioned more than once how bloody he plans to make this fight, and thus far, that proving to be the case as he's coming out relentlessly looking to put Vevering away potentially in this first round.
Melgren resting here in side guard. Vevering just kind of hanging on with the overhook.
It looks like the Marshall was potentially looking to collect an arm, now transitioning to the back and dropping down some punishment. Transitioning to the back nicely. It's 1 hook, it's 2 for the standing back take for the Marshall.
Melgren just riding the back of Vevering here. Vevering just holding on. I mean, he needs to get back in this fight. We haven't seen anything substantial from him yet. Maybe look to get hand control, get his back to the cage and get out. You definitely don't want Melgren just hanging on you like a backpack here.
You see Melgren with a beautiful mat return. A slight angle away from being a suplex there, as the Marshall returns Vevering to the mat with authority.
Ruthless aggression from Melgren throughout this entire fight so far. It's earlier, nice shot to the kidney there, as Vevering just looks to kind of cover up and takes the fetal position. He has the rear naked choke.
And that is it. The Marshall getting the job done in 1. It is pure violence as the Marshall comes out guns a-blazing and he gets the finish he so desperately earned. Picking up his first win as a professional is Brennan the Marshall Melgren.
Melgren was just intense throughout that whole fight. He never really gave Vevering a chance to get in the fight. Here we can see the replay. We got Melgren coming in with some hard knees in the Muay Thai clinch there, gets the takedown, and once he gets on top of Vivering, he's just smothering, looking for elbows, looking for shots. The 12-6 on the top there.
Look at that slam,
nice
David.
German suplex there from Melgren. And then once he gets on the back, he locks up that rear naked choke. That's all she wrote.
All business today was Brennan the Marshal Melgren as he puts away Thomas the Redeemed Vivering in the very first round.
We talk about the redeemed Melgren now into the winners category with a dominant victory.
Absolutely. Now to put a bow on it, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our referee, Chris Cleveter, ended the fight. The official time coming at 2 minutes of round number 1. For your winner by submission via rear naked choke, Brennan the Marshal Melgren.
Brennan the Marshal Melgren, letting everybody know that initial loss to mar his pro debut was nothing but a stumbling block and something he's going to be learning from as he looks sensational out there, David.
That's definitely a great performance to build off of, you know, to get back in there, get in the win category. But not only win, the way he did it, the way he approached the fight, I mean, the intensity, he was calculated. I like the 12-6 elbows.
Yeah, fantastic. Just from beginning to, from the moment he came out, David, you noticed the focus of the Marshal, the way he went out there with laser-like precision and immediately starting battering Vivering. What a matchup we had at 155 pounds as these pros let us know that there are indeed levels to this. To keep the action rolling, we're gonna get a little, gotta get the cleanup crew out there when our boys go out there and mar up that canvas a little bit. Whatever the case, non-stop action thus far as APF 16 is really proving to be an unbelievable night of action. And as I mentioned, David, we haven't even gotten to our main card yet, my friend.
Man, this is the prelims, but I tell you, got more action than you see on most cards, and that's why APFC is the place to be, especially when we're here in the Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. There's no place like it.
It is no surprise that the lights always shine the brightest here at APFC. And to keep the ball rolling with more non-stop action, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our next bout of the evening. 3 rounds going down in the APFC heavyweight division. And now, making the walk to the cage first, he is fighting out of Mesquite, Iowa, Dontre the Silverback Butts.
In steps a true heavyweight in DeAndre Butts. 6 foot tall and all of that 265-pound mark. They're heavyweights that kind of fall in that range of 205 to 265, but there is most certainly a difference when somebody pushes all the way up to the top.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely heavyweight being in that division. The weight is the advantage, but oftentimes speed can be an advantage, and I think that's what we're going to see in this fight here. Is Butts going to be able to go out there and just kind of just enforce his will, you know, and just physically be dominant versus the smaller, lighter opponent. He definitely has the physical capabilities to do so, Christian.
Absolutely. 0-2 as a professional mixed martial artist, but he also has 3 pro boxing fights under his belt after 17 amateur mixed martial arts bouts. As an amateur, he picked up wins via neck crank, via choke, via decision. He's a guy that knows how to get the job done on the ground, David. And when you're as big and you're carrying that 265-pound frame the way Butts does, it most certainly lends itself to that fighting style.
Yeah, I think we can look for him to go out there, try to close the distance, smother his opponent, try to drag him to the ground. We know his opponent, you know, has a speed advantage, also has the power and pop. He looks to go out there and move and hit angles. So what Butts has to do is exactly what I just said. And as I said earlier, I mean, you look at him physically opposing, he definitely has the ability to do such.
Will the Silverback be able to impose his will and use his size and dimensions inside the APFC cage. Only time will tell.
Making the walk to the APFC cage, he's fighting out of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, Dante Johnson.
In steps Dante Johnson. We have indeed seen him inside the APFC cage in the past. But one thing you're gonna notice is this young man is looking different each and every time. Why, you ask? Because he's continued to trim down his frame. Still fighting at heavyweight, but only weighing in at 210 pounds. His ultimate plan is indeed to move down to the light heavyweight division. But as of right now, he's happy to go out there and be the quicker, more athletic heavyweight, David.
He's stepping into the cage leaner, meaner. He's a little more focused in his approach towards training, he said, and he's looking forward to go out there and show the progress that he's made here.
We saw him back at APFC 5, hit a bit of a stumbling block in his career, as in the amateur ranks, he did pick up a loss to Deontay Moses Jr. He mentioned that since then, he's had that fire lit underneath his button. You're not only seeing it in the results, but you're also seeing it in his physicality, of course. He grew up rough, he's been through a lot. He said his family life wasn't always perfect, but there was always love in his home. And when you grow up tough like that, David, when you've had to endure a lot, you step into the cage knowing that you bring a different kind of toughness.
Yeah, definitely that upbringing, that the challenges in life definitely cultivate pugilists. We see that oftentimes here in MMA, boxing, the combat sports, man, and I definitely think he is a testament to that. But when you can get someone that comes from that background and you can get them to focus, you can get them to dial in, you can get them to go out there and perform at the best of their ability, they bring an intangible that you just can't teach, an intensity that you just simply cannot teach. And I think he's going to go out there and display the complete package, the skills, the technique, the mindset that we know he's capable of doing.
Absolutely. Back in August, we saw him at the APFC Waukesha Rumble, put away Gabriel Sayeg with strikes as he absolutely melted him in 33 seconds. It was punches, it was a double flying knee, it was ripping uppercuts, and it was pure violence from Dante Johnson. We will see if he can repeat that performance tonight against the Silverback. Let's take a look at this tail of the tape. As these heavyweights collide inside the APFC cage, Dante Johnson 1-0 as a pro. Dontre Butts still looking for that first win as a professional. 5 years the elder is Butts, both of them standing at just about 6 feet. And there is that 50-pound differential as DeAndre Butts comes in a full 50 pounds heavier than Dante Johnson. Let's take a look at what happens when these heavyweights collide. It's Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC heavyweight division. Sponsored by Combat Corner and Monaco. And now introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall and officially weighed in at 261.6 pounds. Coming in tonight with a professional record of 2 losses and fighting out of Meskwaki, Iowa, Deontay the Silverback Butts. And across the cage, his opponent fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 6 feet tall and officially weighed in at 210 pounds. Coming in tonight with a professional record of 1 victory and no losses, and fighting out of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, Dante Johnson. And your referee in charge is Chris Claviter.
Chris Claviter in charge of keeping these heavyweights under control as they lock horns inside the APFC cage here. APFC 16. Christian Reynoso alongside David Evans taking in all the action from cage side.
And it's been nothing but action here tonight, and I think this fight is definitely gonna carry the banner that was set from literally fight 1 tonight here.
So light on his feet is Dante Johnson, especially for, I would say he's light on his feet no matter the weight class, but when you consider how big he is, it's really impressive.
Yeah, I definitely think trimming down, coming in leaner, you can see the movement. He told me he was looking to go out there, get in, get out, use his angles to be offensive here, and he's doing just that. 30 seconds into this fight here, Christian.
Dante Johnson going back and forth from the orthodox to southpaw, currently coming out of orthodox. We are most certainly seeing a lot of growth in Dante Johnson with every outing.
For sure, Butts a little more comfortable being stagnant, just kind of holding ground. Johnson in the grappling sequence here. I don't think either one of these guys really want to get to the ground.
A huge left hand for Dante Johnson, and that is a wrap. Dante Johnson advances to 2-0 as a professional with his second first-round finish.
And I spoke too soon. It was Johnson looking to put Butts to the ground, and he did just that. Huge hand there by Johnson.
What a shot. It was one and done as Johnson puts away Butts immediately in that first round. Unbelievable performance in showing us that sky is the limit for this lean and mean heavyweight. I'd say let's take a look at the replay, but we could likely replay the whole fight as that was a quick one. Let's take a look as Dante Johnson takes out the silverback Butts. Butts most certainly tried to engage, but it was that very clean left straight. One and done and having some fun is Dante Johnson. What a matchup in the heavyweight division, and most certainly a prospect to keep your eye on is Dante Johnson, is most certainly a blue chip. Let's put a bow on this one with Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our referee, Chris Claviter, ended the fight. The official time, 1 minute and 9 seconds of round number 1. Declaring your winner by knockout, Dante Johnson.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with your winner, the new and improved Dante Johnson. Can you walk me through how it felt when you got that knockout?
Man, it felt amazing. I'm just blessed to be here. You know what I'm saying? And we got to do that a lot more times to get to where we're going. So it's just another day in the office.
You talked about coming in here being more focused. You came in leaner. You were faster. What was that a testament to?
My life, man. My life. My life. That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dante Johnson, say no more.
Dante Johnson getting the job done here at the APFC 16 as he makes very quick work of his opponent. But my goodness, I can't help but think about what is to come, as this young man is most certainly going to make waves, be it as a heavyweight or a light heavyweight, whatever he decides. Sky most certainly the limit. There's more of a plotting style that we saw from the silverback, but remaining composed and just laser-like was Dante Johnson, picking up his second professional win, his second first-round finish, and the second time he let everybody know that there's a professional big man to keep an eye on, and that is indeed Dante Johnson. Let's keep the action rolling by kicking it over to the voice of our APFC cage, the velvety voice, Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our next bout of the evening. 3 rounds going down in the APFC featherweight division. And now, making the walk to the cage first, he is fighting out of Cicero, Illinois, Eddie Dutch Boy Lopez.
Here comes Eddie the Dutch Boy Lopez. Last seeing action in November, losing a unanimous decision to DeAndre Tipton. But before that, he had not stepped into a cage for 8 years. So those 0-2, that 0-2 professional record is marred by an 8-year gap between those fights. When I asked him what was going on, he said, well, just life. At the end of the day, he said he was always training, making sure he was staying in shape and getting those rounds in. But he had to wait for just the right time with a long lineage dating back to guys like Bob Shermer, an OG of the Midwest fight game. Eddie Dutch Boy Lopez is ready to show that he has plenty left in the tank. And since heading over to Mission MMA and pairing up with fighters like Saeed Hatim, another legend of the fight game, the Dutch Boy thinks he is just getting started, David.
Yeah, he spoke to some injuries that he had that gave him some time off, but he seemed like he was nothing more than motivated to get in the cage tonight and go out here and put on a performance that he knows that he's capable of.
Absolutely, and it's one of those things, David, if you got to take time off for an injury, it's one thing. But if you take time off and you remain at least mentally engaged and with the hopes of coming back, and it seemed like that was always the case for Eddie Dutch Boy Lopez, well, and this in and of itself is an accomplishment, stepping out of that situation that he was in, getting back in the cage. But now, tall task in front of him as he faces off against Yaya Ramos.
And now, making the walk to the APFC cage, he is fighting out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Yazir Yaya Ramos.
As far as hype goes and momentum, David, I don't know if it gets any greater than this. Enter Yazir Yaya Ramos. 3-0 as a professional, the 2024 APFC Rookie of the Year. This young man has created so many viral moments in his young career that it's difficult not to get so excited just at the idea of what we might be seeing inside the cage tonight.
Yeah, Christian, and I hope he lives up to the hype. I mean, he has that team. You see Duke Rufus, one of the greatest coaches of all time, just kind of give him a word of advice as he puts his mouthpiece on and, greases his face as he gets ready for war. We know this kid is capable of going out there and putting on a dominant performance. It's just a matter of how he gets it done and when he gets it done, more often than if he gets it done, Christian.
In his last outing at APFC 14, he put away Corey Stewart in the first round. Before that, he put away Daniel Arriaga in the first round. Well, before that, he dismantled Jordan Baxter and got that done in between the first and second round. This young man goes out there and looks to get the job done and have some fun and do it quick. But a formidable opponent in Eddie Lopez. Do not be dissuaded by that 0-2 record. He was 6-0 as an amateur. This young man has plenty of experience for Yaya Ramos to figure out if he is indeed ready for that next step. As Yaya Ramos faces off against the Dutch Boy Lopez at 145 pounds. We'll take a look at this tail of the tape right now as Yazir Ramos at 3-0 takes on Eddie Lopez at 0-2. Eddie Lopez, 11 years the elder and 4 inches, make that 6 inches taller. Both of them made the mark for the featherweight division. As this is being brought to you by Combat Corner.
At 146.6 pounds, coming in tonight with a professional record of 2 defeats, and fighting out of Cicero, Illinois, Eddie Dutch Boy Lopez. And now across the cage, his opponent fighting out of the red corner. A mixed martial artist, he stands 5 feet 8 inches tall. He officially weighed in at 144.8 pounds. Coming in tonight with a professional record of 3 wins and no losses, and fighting out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Yazir Yaya Ramos. And your referee in charge is Tom DeVellis.
Tom DeVellis back in the cage for this very highly anticipated featherweight bout. As Yazir Ramos squares off against Eddie Dutch Boy Lopez. It's Dutch Boy in the black APFC trunk, styling and profiling with the pink hair is Yaya Ramos.
You have the southpaw versus the orthodox. We see Lopez looking to win the hand fight with that lead hand and jam up Ramos as he pushes in on that lead hand. It makes it a little easier to predict the backhand. However, Ramos switching it up, going 1-2-1, and landing a big right hand is Ramos as he goes into the double leg takedown.
The Dutch boy doing a good job of remaining on his feet, but eating a big elbow there on the break. Immediately we see the size discrepancy as Dutch boy Lopez, an extremely rangy featherweight.
However, Ramos looking to chop down Lopez that has that height advantage, doing so with that Muay Thai plum, looking for the knee up the middle. You hear the crowd in here just going crazy for Ramos.
A takedown there for the Dutch boy with the outside trip. Now inside the guard of Ramos we go.
Slick takedown by Lopez as he lands in the full guard of Ramos. Looking to advance, maybe transition, go half guard. You know, you spoke to the 0-2 record and, you know, how that we can't really classify that record on Lopez's behalf. And look at him right here. We're 1:14 left in the first round. He's in the dominant position, looking to build off that against a talented prospect in Ramos.
Now pressuring Ramos against the fence is the Dutch boy Lopez, and as he almost transitions to the back there, but it's Ramos coming out on top.
Ramos did a great job pushing off of the cage, which allowed his hips to free up and scramble out. Now he's in a great position, and as he takes the back of Lopez and throws some knees down the pipe.
Momentarily throwing up a triangle was Lopez, but now it's Ramos putting Lopez on his back.
Shades of Daniel Cormier with that high C lift there by Ramos, dumping Lopez on his head, and takes the back here and looks to just do damage as he has both hooks in. Nice power half, transition to the rear naked choke, Christian.
With 20 seconds to work, Ramos is under the chin. And that
it's deafening in here right now, Christian. I can't hear myself talk.
Yaya Ramos getting the job done and won yet again. I am not sure what this guy has against the second round, but Yaya Ramos picks up his fourth straight first round finish, remaining undefeated as a professional and handing the Dutch boy Lopez his third professional loss. My goodness. Looking slick and pink is a Yaya Ramos. My goodness, sky is indeed the limit for this young man as he goes out there. And he indeed endures some tribulations. He did get taken down. He was indeed on bottom. He had a triangle thrown up at him. He shrugged it off. He got back to his feet and he got the job done. Let's take a look at some of these replays and check out some of the handiwork of Yaya Ramos. Staying inside and getting inside of the range of Lopez beautifully was Ramos. We saw a great takedown there by Lopez, but working his way back up to the feet was Yaya. And when he did so, it was that forward pressure. It was the ability to close the distance and not let Eddie Lopez use that height, use that range. And once Yaya took the back, it was all but done. He got in the hooks. He put the body triangle on. The squeeze was quick. The time was running out, but the tap was imminent. Yaya Ramos advancing to 4-0. And let's make this one official by heading to the cage and talking to Michael Hansen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our referee Tom DeVellis put an end to the fight. The official time coming at 2 minutes, 49 seconds of round number 1. Declaring your winner by submission via rear naked choke, Yaya Ramos.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with your undefeated Milwaukee prospect, Yazir Ramos. Yazir, you had the hype train behind you. You came out there, your performance was good. However, got into a little bit of trouble there for a second. Can you walk me through that moment when he got that takedown? What was going through your mind?
I was going through my mind, was like, man, I can't let this guy get up, man. I'm trying to get the fuck out of here. I got a wiener dog waiting for me at home. You know, I want to go see him. But my coaches was telling me what to do, stay on top of him, pinch my knees. And man, look, it worked.
Now you talked about home. How does it feel to get another victory in what has become your home, APFC, Milwaukee, in front of your hometown crowd?
Man, it feels amazing. I love you guys. Thank you guys for coming, watching us fighters, trying to become something. I love you, Milwaukee!
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner, Yazir Ramos.
As Yazir Ramos advances to 4-0 as a professional and takes home another big win to Milwaukee's Rufus Sport. What a night thus far. Let's take a look. As early on we had so much excitement. We capped off this prelim card with Yazir Ramos making pretty quick work of Eddie Lopez. That big high crotch finish to the back, to the choke. It was all but done in one. As Eddie Lopez gets handed his third loss, and Yazir Ramos lets everybody know that he is indeed a blue chip prospect. Let's hand it over to Michael Hansen to keep us moving.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we will be taking an intermission, and we'll resume the action after 6:50 p.m., and that is when we will begin our main card live on UFC Fight Pass. We'll be right back.